In this free course, you're going to learn how to set up, optimize, and scale your Google Shopping campaigns to over 50K per month. Hey guys, Sam here from KeyCommerce.com. I'm going to walk you through the entire process step by step, starting with how Google Shopping works in 2026, including the full setup inside of Google Merchant Center and Google Ads, how to launch campaigns that get sales, how to optimize for profit, and exactly what to do if things aren't performing. On top of everything in this course, we're giving you every template, calculator, and resource that you need. Completely free, all linked down below in the description. So let's get into it. So what is Google Shopping in 2026? Let's start by looking at this from your customer's point of view. Imagine that someone sits down and types in ergonomic chair into Google. They're not looking for a blog post or a Wikipedia article, they're looking to buy something right now. So what do they see? First thing, they see the shopping carousel. Right at the top, before any regular websites, there's a row of product images. These are shopping ads. Your customer sees your product photo, the price, your store name, maybe some star ratings. This is your visual competition. If your photo looks better and your price is more competitive, you win the click. Alright, now let's talk about the newest way that your product can show up. AI mode. This is where Google basically becomes a personal shopping assistant to your customer. So imagine what a customer is going to type. I need a durable backpack for a 3-day hiking trip in wet weather. Instead of just showing a list of bags, Google's AI actually summarizes the best options for them. Now think about the scale here for a second. Every second, Google is scanning millions of products across the web to find the right products for that shopper. It didn't just see the word backpack and throw a random product in there. It went deep into your product feed. It looked at your technical specs, saw things like 100% waterproof with an IPX7 rating and 21-liter capacity. It read your product description. It noticed that this bag was designed for multi-day rugged use. It even analyzed your customer reviews to back up the claim that it actually stays dry during heavy rain. This is why product optimization is your #1 job in 2026 and beyond. Out of millions of products, Google chose yours because you gave it the best data to work with. If you feed Google the right details, the AI does the selling for you. I'm going to show you exactly how to optimize your product feed later in this Google Shopping series. It's simpler than it sounds, and it's one of the biggest advantages you can have. Alright, so the third option is the shopping tab. This looks like a full marketplace, kind of like Amazon. They can filter by price, color, or even available nearby. This is where people go when they're 100% ready to buy and just comparing options. And fourth, YouTube and Google Images. Because Google owns everything, your ads follow the customer around. If they go watch a chair review on YouTube, or they browse office setup ideas on Google Images, your product can pop up there too. So in short, Google Shopping puts your product in front of buyers when they're ready to spend. Alright, let's now break down how Google actually decides what products rank #1. You might be thinking, Sam, why does being #1 even matter? Can't I just be number 5 or 10? Look, most of your customers are searching on their phones. And on a mobile screen, that AI view and the top few spots, that's the entire view. If you're not in that initial window, you're almost entirely visible. And there are thousands of other stores fighting for that exact same real estate. And if you're just relying on luck rather than strategy, then your dashboard is going to show 0 sales. To win, you need to understand how the auction works. As a store owner, you're always in a tug of war. You want as much traffic as possible, but you need it at a price that keeps you profitable. Here's how Google breaks that tie in 2026. First, your bid. This is the max amount that you're willing to pay for a single click. In standard shopping, you're in control. You decide if you want to pay 50 cents or $2. Second, relevance. Google starts with your bid. Then it adjusts it based on how well your product matches the search. Let me give you an example. You're selling Chelsea boots. You bid $1. A giant brand comes in with a huge budget and it bids $2. But their product title is lazy. It just says leather boots. Your title? Handmade, waterproof, tan Chelsea boots. Google AI scans its shopping graph and sees that you're the perfect match. Now, let's be real, you're not going to beat this giant brand if you're bidding 10 cents and they're bidding $2. Google has its thresholds that you need to meet to be able to compete at the top. If your data is detailed, including material, waterproof feature, and Chelsea style, your product is complete. Google sees it as a high quality match, and that means you can hit those top spots for way less money than a competitor with a generic title. And third, experience. Google rewards shoppers that give customers a great experience. They look at your history. Do people click and buy, or do they just leave immediately? When Google trusts your store to deliver a great experience, you win. They lower your costs and boost your ad positions. But Google goes one step deeper. It doesn't just look at the search, it looks at the shopper. Google tracks billions of data points. They're able to predict who's most likely to buy before they even finish typing. If your store performs really well for women aged 35 to 55 who love organic goods, Google will start showing your ads to more of those people that match that type of profile. It's a win for Google and they get paid per click. A win for the shopper, they find exactly what they need. And a win for you because you get traffic that's 5 times more likely to convert. This is why we focus so much on the setup. We want the system working for us, not against us. Okay, to set up a Google Shopping campaign, you need 4 key pieces. Number 1, you need an e-commerce website. You should already have this. Stores are often set up on platforms like Shopify or WooCommerce. Shopify, in our opinion, is by far the best of these platforms. I highly recommend it if you want an easy shop set up to run your business. Number 2, we have a product feed. A product feed has all the data about your products on your store, formatted specifically for Google. Number 3 is Google Merchant Center. It's the platform where you upload and verify your product feed. It's also where you handle disapprovals or warnings about your products and your product feed. And number 4, your Google Ads account. Many store owners get confused about needing 2 Google accounts. One is for Google Ads, and the other one is to connect your products to. Think of Google Merchant Center like a gatekeeper. Its job is to ensure that your product data meets Google's standards. Google Ads is then used to set up and manage the ads for the products that made it through the gatekeeper, Google Merchant Center. We'll need to link these 2 accounts. This makes sure that the product data transfers from Google Merchant Center to Google Ads to set up your campaigns. And once that's done, people will see our Google Shopping ads, our product-specific ads on the Google search. They show a price, image, title, and can be clicked to visit our product page on our website. And that's it, guys. That's how Google Shopping works in 2026. I'm going to show you everything on how to set up, optimize, and scale your store with Google Shopping ads. The whole process is designed to get you from 0 to 50K per month and beyond. In the next video, we're going to cover the mindset and strategy before your first campaign, which campaign type to start with to keep your profits under control, and how to add AI-driven campaigns like Performance Max to scale fast. In this video, I'm going to break down the real difference between standard shopping campaigns and Performance Max campaigns. I'm going to show you what each campaign actually needs to work, and exactly which one is right for where your store is right now. By the end of this, you'll have a clear answer, so let's get into it. Okay guys, before we dive in, a little bit of context. Standard shopping shows your product ads on Google Search, the Shopping tab, and Google Images. Performance Max is different. One campaign runs across all placements: Search, Shopping, YouTube, Gmail, Display, and Maps. Now, we see a lot of e-com store owners go straight to PMax. It's automated, Google handles everything, so the thinking is, set it up and let Google handle it, and eventually the sales will start coming in. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just not how it works. There's a process to this. If you don't follow it in the right order, you'll burn a lot of money learning the hard way. So let's talk about what each one actually means for you as a store owner, starting with standard shopping. The biggest advantage here is control. You decide which products get budget, how much you bid, and who you're targeting. You can see exactly which search terms are triggering your ads. And when something isn't working, you can go in and fix it. It gives you really clean data. Which products are converting, which aren't, what people are searching for before they buy. The downside is that it's more hands-on. You'll need to learn how to read the data and make decisions from it. It's not complicated, but it does require your attention. And remarketing isn't built in. If you want to show ads to people that have already visited your store, you'll need to build those campaigns separately. Now, Performance Max. It's automated, it runs across every Google platform, and Google's machine learning handles the optimization for you. It also has remarketing built in, so it follows your potential customers across search, YouTube, Gmail, wherever they go. You know when you visit a store and that product seems to follow you wherever you go? That's PMax remarketing doing its job. With stores with the right data and the right budget behind them, it can be really powerful. And unlike back in 2022, 2023, when it was basically just a black box, you do now have some visibility to know what it's actually doing. You can see search terms, channel performance, device breakdowns, but you can't control which networks it shows on. You can't set manual bids. And with audiences, you provide the signal, but Google decides what to do with it. So PMax isn't bad, far from it, but it's not a shortcut, because if you launch too early, without the right data or budget behind it, you'll spend weeks wondering why it's not performing. So that's the real difference between the two. And it's exactly why the order in which you use them matters so much. Now, there's also a third option that's worth knowing about, and that's called Performance Max feed-only campaigns. This is a Performance Max campaign with no creative assets. Just your product feed, same as standard shopping. It runs on shopping placements and display for remarketing. It's kind of like a middle ground between standard shopping and a fully built out Performance Max campaign. And I'll explain exactly when it makes sense to use it in a few minutes. Alright, so now you know what each one is. But here's what I really want you to take away from this video. Each of these campaigns needs something different from you in order to work. The first and the most important thing that both campaigns need from you is a clean and optimized product feed. Your product titles, descriptions, images, pricing, and all other product attributes need to be accurate and specific. Without an optimized feed, neither of these campaign types will operate as they should. So get that right first, that's really important. Your campaign needs a clear structure, with products organized in a way that makes sense. And when you're starting out, keep it simple with just one campaign only. The more consolidated your budget is, the faster that Google's algorithm is going to learn what actually works. You also need to set your bidding strategy correctly from day one. Again, we go into all of this in detail in the free course. And you need to be willing to go in, look at the data, and make decisions based on what you see. Now, Performance Max is a different story. PMax, Performance Max, runs on machine learning. It needs conversion history to understand who your buyers are. Without enough data, it's essentially guessing. And again, it's guessing with your budget. Before you even think about launching a Performance Max campaign, you want at least 30 to 50 monthly conversions in your account. Ideally, from running the standard shopping campaign first, because that's when Performance Max actually has enough signal to start to optimize. And honestly, guys, the more the better, ideally over 100 conversions per month through the account. Budget matters too. At $10 to $20 per day, stick with standard shopping. But for a fully built out Performance Max campaign, the rule of thumb that we use is this. Your daily budget should at least be equal to your cost per acquisition. So if your CPA is $50, start with at least $50 per day per asset group, because you want to be generating at least one consistent conversion per day. Now, there's one exception. If you're selling a well-known branded product, Nike, Adidas, something with massive search demand, PMax can work earlier than you'd expect, because Google has already seen millions of searches for that product. It already knows who buys it, so it doesn't need your account history to figure that out. But if you're selling your own brand, or a product that people aren't searching for by name, that exception doesn't apply to you. So in your case, build out the data first with a standard shopping campaign, then bring PMax in later. All right, guys, so which campaign type should you start with? Let me break it down into 3 scenarios. What I need you to do is find out which one best suits your store right now, and that's your answer. Scenario 1, you're just starting out, so you basically have low conversions and a limited budget. Go with standard shopping. And look, it doesn't matter what you're selling, start here. Because right now you need to learn which products convert, which search terms bring in buyers, what your actual CPA looks like. Standard shopping gives you that clearly, so you can see exactly what's working and go from there. Okay, let's move to scenario 2. You have consistent conversions, at least 50 per month, and your shopping campaigns are profitable. Now you start testing PMax. But I recommend starting with a feed-only PMax, not a fully built one. Feed-only PMax runs on shopping and display. No creative assets needed. It's kind of like a lower risk way to see if Performance Max can make extra sales alongside standard shopping. At this point, your account has gathered a lot of data from running a shopping campaign. And so have you. So bring what you've learned into PMax. Use your best converting audiences as your audience signal. Add your top performing search terms as search themes. And by now you'll also have the time and budget to get your creative assets ready. Good lifestyle photos, videos. You'll also need to choose your bidding strategy and optimize your campaign properly. But we cover all of this in the free Google Shopping course, so just follow it step by step. Right now, the most important thing is that you have a clear framework and strategy for how to approach this. Okay, scenario 3. You've leveled up and now you're running both. This is where most established accounts land eventually. As long as both campaigns are profitable, keep running both and scale what's working. PMax tends to perform better with more budget. So once it's proven itself, lean more budget towards it. Now, there's a lot more depth to this. And honestly, going through it step by step would make this video an hour long. I really want to make sure that you're getting everything you need to generate sales and profits from this. So we cover all of it in the advanced modules of the course. How the two campaigns interact, how to use one as a feeder for the other, advanced budget split strategies, how to read the data and act on it. Once you have the campaigns running and data to work with, that's where we go next. For now, your job is to get to scenario 2. All right, that's it, guys. In the next lesson, we cover the structure of your Google Shopping campaigns, how to set up your campaigns, your ad groups, and product groups the right way from day one, so your campaigns are properly set up to generate sales and profits from the start. And if you want help from a team that's taken stores just like yours to 6 and 7 figures, with a proven system, no wasted budget, and full transparency on what's happening at every step, book a strategy call with my team, link is down below. We'll look at your store and show you exactly how we'll scale it for you. In this video, I'm breaking down what profitability actually means, what ROAS is, and what your break-even ROAS is, the real number you need to hit to actually make money. Let's get into it. All right, so what are profits? Profits are the money you have left after making sales. That's after paying suppliers and covering all your expenses. So let's say you sell $1,000 worth of products on your store, and it costs you $500 to buy those products from your suppliers. Then you've got your expenses, about $200 for the month. Things like payment processor fees, Shopify plugin costs, all that stuff. Oh yeah, and don't forget returns. That 10 to 15% return rate is an expense, and if you ignore it, your profits are artificially inflated. So that leaves you with $300 in your bank account at the end of the month. That $300, that's your net profit. To find your margin, you just divide that profit by your sales. So $300 divided by $1,000 gives you a net profit margin of 30%. That's what we actually care about here. How much cash do you have in your bank account at the end of the month? Now that you know what your profits are, let's talk about ROAS. ROAS is your return on ad spend, ROAS. To calculate it, take your sales revenue and divide it by how much you spent on ads. So if you got $1,000 in sales from Google Ads and spent $250 to get those clicks, your ROAS is 4. You can also say 400%, but I personally think it's easier to say 4. But ROAS alone isn't enough to know if you're actually making money. Google sees your sales, but it has no idea about your expenses, your product costs, shipping costs, or fees. To factor these in, you need your break-even ROAS. So what is your break-even ROAS? Well, your break-even ROAS is basically your red line. It's the minimum return you need just to cover your costs. If you're below this number, you're literally losing money. So break-even ROAS is the goal for your Google Ads account and campaigns. It gives us something to optimize towards and tells us if we're actually making money or not. If your break-even ROAS is 3 and your campaign's got a ROAS of 4, you're profitable. But if your ROAS is 3 and your campaign's got a ROAS of 2, you're below break-even. You're losing money with these campaigns and we need to fix them. Knowing your break-even ROAS tells you what decisions you need to make in your account to actually make more profit. It keeps you data-driven, always pointing toward profit as the goal. That's it, guys. Now you understand what profitability actually means and why your break-even ROAS is the number that you really need to know. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through using our free calculator to get your break-even ROAS in under 5 minutes. All right, so we're going to use our profit calculating template. I'm leaving a link to this template down below. Go download it so we can calculate your profits and break-even ROAS. Once you have the sheet open, let's get into it. Now, if you have a new store that's just getting started, you might have to make some guesses here. Ideally, you'll have at least 6 months of data to figure out the average profit you make per sale. If you don't have sales yet, that's fine. Just put in amounts that make sense for a hypothetical situation. Like, if you sell $10,000 worth of products, how much would you pay your suppliers for that? How much in expenses? All right, first, add in your sales in this first section. Let's say $100,000 over the last 12 months. The next box is what's called cost of goods sold. This is how much your product costs from your supplier. So let's say you have two different products. For product one, you spent $20,000 on inventory. For the inventory of product two, you spent $30,000. Now, this is important. The amounts you put in here directly relate to the sales above. That $100,000 above should be the sales from the products that you bought here. This will then show us the total cost of goods sold, in our case, $50,000. Next section calculates your gross profit. This is just your total sales minus the total cost of goods sold. There, we have your gross profit margin of 50% too. Next, we'll enter your expenses. First, we have your fixed expenses. These are expenses you pay for your store even if you sell 0 products. Things like Shopify, app subscriptions, stuff like that. I've set it up so that you can put the cost per month, the number of months, and it calculates the total cost for you. Make sure that the number of months is the length of the period for which you sold your products in this first box. For example, if it took you 3 months to sell that amount of products, then put 3 months. Next, we have variable expenses. These are expenses that go up as you sell more products. A good example is payment processing fees. We pay a fee on each credit card transaction, so these go up with each sale. Another is shipping, so they're in there too. But pay attention to this row, returns. Now in 2026 and moving forward, customers expect easy returns. If you don't account for that 5 to 10% of people who send items back, your break-even number will be wrong. By adding it here, we make sure your break-even ROAS is actually safe, not risky. It ensures that when Google says that you're profitable, your bank account actually agrees. This then gives us our total expenses at the bottom, and this lets you calculate your net profit margin, and finally, your break-even ROAS. This is all done for you with the formulas in our sheet. So now we know that we need each dollar of ad spend to make us at least $2.26 in sales just to break even. Anything above, we make profits. Anything below, we lose money and make a loss. So our break-even ROAS here is 2.26. That means, in Google Ads, our ROAS has to stay at 2.26 or higher for us to make money. This is an easy metric that we can check anytime we want. Just open up the Google Ads account and show the column called Conversion Value over Cost. You'll find this metric viewable all through your Google Ads account. So you can see if certain campaigns, ads, or even search queries are profitable for your store. And that's it, guys. Now you know how to calculate your break-even ROAS and where to check if your campaigns are hitting it. Now, if you're already doing over 20K per month in sales and you want a team of experts to come in and scale to over 6 or 7 figures per month, my team and I, we can help. We manage accounts for dozens of brands, and we've used these exact systems to scale them to 6, 7, or even 8 figures. Click the link below to book a call with my team and I. We're going to look at your store and show you exactly how we'll scale your revenue. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your Google Ads account for your Shopify or e-commerce store in less than 7 minutes. You can't launch a Google Shopping or a Performance Max campaign until you've set this up. Now, if you already have a Google Ads account, but you're trying to set up a new one for a different business, this process also works. It's quick and straightforward, so let's get into it. All right, first step, search for Google Ads on Google. The top result takes you to the starting page. You'll see some promotional offers at the top. These vary by country. In the US, they usually offer ad credit if you spend a certain amount within your first 60 days. Go ahead and scroll down and check them out. When you're ready, pick one and click Start Now or Claim Now. Now, if you haven't signed in with your Gmail yet, you'll be prompted to do that here. I'm already signed in, so it's showing me the Google Ads accounts I already have. I'll click New Google Ads Account. If this is your first time, you'll be taken straight to the sign-up flow and then into these setup steps. All right, after it loads, Google shows you a list of steps they want you to complete during the setup. Now, we're only here to create the account, not to create a campaign, especially not the way Google wants us to, because the options they'll show aren't right for most e-com stores. So let's click Create Your First Campaign just to clear this box. Next, enter your store's name. You can see Google's AI has already filled in my agency's name and linked our website since this account is connected to our business. For you, just add your store's trade name, your doing business as name. You don't need your legal business name here. Then add your store's website address and click Next. Now, Google wants you to describe your business to get better campaign suggestions. You'll see Google AI has filled this out with suggestions pulled from our website. But to be honest with you guys, letting Google's AI build your campaign from scratch is like letting a car salesman pick your budget. They're always going to push what's best for them, not you. If you follow this automatic setup, you also skip the 3 most critical things for a profitable store: product feed optimization, advanced tracking, and strategic segmentation. Without these, the AI is just guessing with your money. So instead of clicking continue on Google's auto setup, we're just going to skip this. Click next. All right, in this next step, Google sees I already have a Merchant Center account linked to this email. Don't worry if you don't see this. I cover how to create and link your Google Merchant Center account in the next few videos of this Google Shopping series. For now, click skip. Next, Google's going to prompt you to link Google Analytics. If you already have an account, it might even find it for you automatically. You might be tempted to just hit accept, but I actually recommend clicking skip here. Why? Because Google's quick link setup often misses the deep e-commerce data we need, like specific product performance and accurate conversion values. If you link it wrong now, you'll spend weeks making decisions based on bad data. And that's the fastest way to lose money. We're going to do this the right way later in the process to make sure every dollar you spend is tracked perfectly. Click skip. Now, Google wants you to choose your goal for this campaign. For every e-com store, that's going to be purchases. But guys, be very careful here. It's not as simple as clicking this button. Conversion tracking is the single most important element in your account. If your tracking isn't set up perfectly, you're flying blind. You'll spend $500, get 10 sales, but Google Ads will show 0 conversions. And when Google can't see those sales, its AI stops showing your ads to the right people. Your account will death spiral before you even give it a chance. Setting this up correctly takes time, and it happens outside of this setup wizard. For now, let's skip this step. Next, Google wants us to immediately create a campaign. I don't recommend doing this because it doesn't give you the right campaign type options for an e-commerce store. It's trying to push you into campaign types that aren't what you should start with. So let's hit skip. Then confirm by clicking Leave Campaign Creation. All right, we're now on the billing page. Here, we need to confirm our billing country, time zone, and the currency we'll pay Google in. These settings cannot be changed once you're done here, so make sure they're correct. Click Continue. And finally, Google now requires a verified payment method to complete account setup. This is a relatively new requirement, and they won't let you skip it. So I'll add a credit card here. In the US, it'll charge your card $50, which they'll refund within a week. At the bottom here, Google's asking if we want personalized guidance from one of their experts. I have a lot of opinions about these experts, but I'll keep it short. Select No, then click Submit. Now, once you click Submit, you might be asked to verify your account or verify your payment method. That's a process you're already familiar with from other types of accounts. Just follow the prompts. Once you're done with that, Google will show you this page that says your account was created. And that's it. Your Google Ads account is now set up.
Once again, Google is trying to push the next steps on us here. If we want to click next, it will provide instructions for installing a Google tag on your site. This can be helpful, but we're not going to do that right now. So let's just click this X and click I'll do this later. And one final page to go. Let's agree to turn on enhanced conversions. This basically gives Google legal permission to collect data on how shoppers behave on your website. This is necessary if you want to get the best out of Google's optimization, which is critical for scaling. Agree and continue to your account. And once again, confirm that we'll set up your Google tag later. And finally, we arrive at our account.
All right, guys, your next step is setting up your conversion tracking. That way you can track your sales properly and know what's actually working with your ads. In this video, you're going to learn exactly how to set up Google Ads conversion tracking for your Shopify store. We'll be using the Google and YouTube app to do it step by step. This is the method that we recommend for most store owners. It's the simplest setup and it's built directly into Shopify. When it's done correctly, it gives Google everything it needs to optimize your campaigns effectively. Before we get into it, make sure that you have two things ready: admin access to your Shopify store and admin access to your Google Ads account. If you also have a Google Merchant Center account, have that open too. And if you want to understand what conversion tracking is and why it matters, I'll leave a link at the top of the description, so go and check that out. Let's get into it. All right, open up your Shopify admin and head to Apps. Then click into the Shopify App Store. Search for Google and YouTube, hit install, and follow the permission steps. When it asks you to connect your Google account, make sure you use the same one linked to your Google Ads. This ensures everything connects properly from the start. That part matters, so don't skip past it. Once the app is installed, open it and go to Settings. Here, you'll connect your Google Ads account and your Merchant Center account. Click through each connection step and wait for them to complete before moving on. Still inside the Google and YouTube app, go to Settings and scroll down to Conversion Tracking. Make sure it's turned on. This is the switch that tells the app to send purchase data back to Google every time a customer buys from your store. If this is off, Google sees nothing. Now let's move into linking Shopify inside Google Ads. Open your Google Ads account, click the Tools icon and go to Data Manager. Find Shopify in the list. Click Direct Connection and click Authorize. Enter your Shopify URL, for example, yourstore.myshopify.com, and click Connect. If it asks you to add or keep your existing setup, click Add. Still inside the Shopify setup, find the Customer Match or Audience Setup section. Click Turn On and then Complete Setup. This allows Google to match your customer data to Google users, which makes your ads smarter over time. It takes 2 minutes and it's worth doing now while you're already here. Now let's make sure the purchase conversion actually showed up in your Google Ads account. Go to Goals, then Conversions, then Summary. Look for a conversion that says something like Google Shopping App Purchase or Purchase Shopify. Click into it and check these 5 settings. Action optimization, set to primary. Count, set to every. For value, should say use different values for each conversion. This means Google records the actual sale amount, not a fixed number. Attribution model should be set to data driven. Click-through window, set it to 30 days. If any of these are wrong, Google is optimizing your campaigns based on incorrect data. So make sure you're fixing them now before you go any further. One more thing to check here, make sure this is the only primary purchase conversion in your account. If you see more than one conversion marked as primary, a GA4 import, a manual tag, and the Shopify app all set to primary at the same time, Google doesn't know what to optimize for, and it tries to chase all of them at once. So open any duplicates and set them to secondary. Make sure you have one primary purchase. That's the rule. Before we test, let's confirm everything is connected properly. Go back to Shopify admin. Check that everything shows as connected. If anything shows as not connected, fix it before you do the test purchase. Now we want to test if conversions are firing, and to do that, we need to place a real purchase on your store. To avoid paying full price, especially if you have high-value products, we're going to create 2 coupon codes first. Go to your Shopify admin and click Discounts. Create 2 new codes, one for free shipping and one for 100% off the order. You'll use both of these together at checkout when you test. Once those are ready, don't place the order yet. We're going to do that inside Tag Assistant so we can watch it fire in real time. And after you finish testing, delete the test order and remove both coupon codes. Open a new tab and go to tagassistant.google.com. Add your store URL, click connect, and it'll open your store in debug mode. Now go through your store as if you're a real customer. Add a product to cart, go to the checkout, and complete the purchase using the 2 coupon codes you just created. In Tag Assistant, you want to see 3 things: your Google tag firing, your Google Ads conversion firing, and the purchase event coming through with a conversion ID present. That conversion should fire once per order. If you're seeing it fire twice, you have a duplication problem. If nothing is firing at all, tracking is broken. And if it fires every time you reload the thank you page, that's a serious issue that will inflate all your data. Any of these need to be fixed before your ads go live. Still in Tag Assistant, click on the purchase event and check that 3 things are coming through correctly. The currency should match your store currency. Because we used a 100% off coupon code for this test, the value will show as 0. That's normal. And there should be a unique transaction ID attached to the order. If the transaction ID is missing, you're at risk of counting the same order more than once. Once your first real orders start coming in, head to the All Conversions column inside Google Ads and check that revenue is passing through correctly. If that value is showing 0 on real orders, revenue isn't passing and you need to fix that before you go any further. All 3 need to be correct before you move on. One last thing before we wrap up, guys. When you first set this up, your conversion status will likely show as inactive or no recent conversions. That's completely normal. Real validation needs a real ad click and a real purchase from a real customer. And that data usually takes 24 to 48 hours to show up properly. Once you have a few real purchases come through, do one final check. Go to goals, then conversions, then summary. Here, you want to compare your Google Ads revenue against your Shopify Google Ads attributed revenue. You'll always see small differences because of how Google attributes clicks. That's expected. What you should not see is double the revenue or half of it. If something looks way off, go back through the steps and find where it's breaking. And that's your Google Ads conversion tracking setup using the Shopify app. Now, if you'd rather have this set up professionally and know that it's done correctly, my team and I can help. We can take care of it for you. Link is in the description. My team and I have fixed over 300 misrepresentation suspensions since 2015. And everything that we cover in this video is exactly what we look at when we go into a new account for a client. It's what Google's AI checks when it crawls your store. And it's what you need to have in place to pass that check. So let's get into it. All right, guys, we've put together a full GMC compliance resource guide. Inside, you'll find all the checklists and templates to follow along this video. Check the description for the link to download it and use it as you follow along with this video. Let's get into it. Okay, first let's talk about Google's risk meter, because this is the framework behind everything we're going to cover. Google creates a risk score for every single advertiser. Back in 2011, Google was fined $500 million by the FTC. This is because they allowed shady advertisers to run scams through their platform. Ever since then, they've been super aggressive about who they let advertise. In 2026, this isn't about fraud anymore. It's about transparency. Google wants to know exactly who you are, where you operate, and how you handle a customer's money. Their AI is crawling your store constantly, looking for anything that feels hidden or incomplete. A shipping cost that only shows up at checkout. A generic AI-generated About Us page. A returns policy that doesn't actually explain anything. Any of that pushes your risk meter into the red. And when it goes red, that's when suspensions happen. So the rest of this video is about bringing that meter down from red to green and keeping it there. All right, let's start with your returns and refunds page. This is one of the most important pages for keeping your risk meter in the green. And I've put together a template you can download and use for your own store. Link is in the description down below. There are 5 things that you must have on this page. Do you accept returns or not? And here's something a lot of store owners don't realize. You don't have to accept returns. That itself is a valid policy, but you need to state it clearly. And in 2026, if you have a no returns policy, it's not enough to just have it on your policy page. You need to also state it clearly on your product page. Google's AI is going to check both. Your policy also needs to apply across your entire catalog. The only exception is clearance sales, but that needs to be clearly stated in the promotion itself. Also make sure you're clear about whether shipping costs are refunded and whether you charge a restocking fee. Okay, second is eligibility. In what situations do you actually accept a return? We got to be specific here, guys. Things like unopened items only, original packaging required, defective products, or if a mistake was made on your end. And there are 3 specific scenarios that every store needs to cover here, regardless of their general policy. If the product never arrived, if it arrived damaged, or if the customer got the wrong item. These aren't optional. If any of these happen, your store is responsible for resolving it. A simple line like, if your order arrives damaged, doesn't arrive, or isn't what you ordered, contact us immediately and we'll make it right. This covers all 3. Third, how do they initiate a return? You need to have at least 2 ways for a customer to start a return. For example, an email address and a phone number works, or an email and a returns portal link. Just make sure that there are 2 clear options and tell them exactly what information to include. Fourth, the timeline. Be specific here. Don't just say within a reasonable time. State the exact number of days. For example, customers have 30 days from delivery to initiate a return. You can start the clock from when they first contact you, or when they send the tracking number, or when you receive and inspect the item. Just make it clear which one applies. And fifth, how the refund is given. Is it a refund back to the original payment method or store credit? Either is fine, just make it clear. Google wants transparency on how a customer gets their money back. Next up is your Contact Us page. This is just important as your returns page for keeping your risk meter down. And Google's thinking here is pretty simple. Legitimate businesses are easy to contact. There are 6 things you really need on this page, guys, and I've got a full template and checklist that you can download down below. But the first thing is your business name. Google wants to know exactly what business entity is behind your website. Use your legal name, your LLC or corp name. If you also have a trading name, you can include that too. But make sure that you're using the same name consistently across all your Google accounts. That includes Merchant Center, Google Ads, and everything else. Any variation is a red flag. Second, your physical address. That needs to be a real physical location where your business actually operates. And guys, don't use a PO box or a virtual office address. Google's AI now checks these. A residential address is completely fine as long as it's a real place where business happens. What Google is looking for is that you actually exist somewhere. If Google suspects that your address is fake, that means instant suspension. Third, your phone number. This needs to be a number that is actually answered. When someone calls, they should hear your business name and be able to leave a voicemail if nobody picks up. And make sure that this number matches exactly what you have in the Business Information tab inside of Google Merchant Center. Google cross-references these. Those 3, business name, address, and phone number, are the minimum that Google needs. Without them, you won't be considered a legitimate business. Now, here are the 3 additional things that you should have to go even further. Fourth, your business email. Use a domain email, something like support@yourstore.com. A Gmail, Outlook, or Yahoo address immediately signals to Google that you're not a serious business. And it's pretty easy to fix, just make sure that it's done. Fifth, we have hours of operation. Tell Google and your customers when you're available. Something as simple as, we're available Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. EST. This tells Google you're a real operation with real availability. It also reduces disputes because customers know when to expect a response. And sixth, contact expectations. What happens after someone emails or leaves a message? Will you reply within 1 business day? 2? Just state it clearly. It builds trust with customers and it signals to Google that you handle inquiries properly. And one more thing I really want to flag here, guys, a contact form. This is something a lot of stores miss. Having all your contact information listed is great, but Google also wants customers to be able to reach you directly from the page. They shouldn't have to open their email or pick up the phone. A simple contact form does that. It also shows Google you're actually making yourself accessible, which is exactly what legitimate businesses do. So make sure there's a contact form sitting right below your contact information on that page. And guys, if this feels like that's a lot to stay on top of, that's why we built the KeyCommerce Academy. Google's updating its policies constantly, and what's compliant today might not be compliant in 6 months. Inside the community, we have weekly live calls where my team go through this with you guys directly. We fix your suspensions, review stores, catch these issues before they become problems. So if you want to make sure that your store stays compliant and your ads keep running, come join us in there. The link is in the description. Okay, now let's look at your shipping policy page. Guys, this is honestly where most suspensions come from. And it's almost every time the same thing. Hidden costs. There are 3 things you need here, and I've got a template below that you can use. But the first thing is delivery zones. Where do you ship and where don't you ship? It's pretty straightforward. And while you're at it, mention how you ship. UPS, USPS, FedEx, whichever carrier you use. It's a small detail, but it adds transparency and customers appreciate knowing what to expect when their order ships. Second thing is shipping costs, and this is the most important one. Whatever you put on this page needs to match exactly what shows up at the checkout. It also has to match your merchant center settings. If your policy says free shipping, but checkout adds $5, Google flags it as misrepresentation, and that can get your account suspended immediately. So just make sure that these are all in sync. And if you ship internationally, mention any customs or import taxes customers might have to pay. This keeps the checkout clear and avoids surprises. Third, shipping timing. Split it into handling time and transit time. Handling time is before it ships, and transit time is how long it's on the way. Always say business days, not just days. Google systems read this literally, so keep it consistent. Okay guys, that's it for the shipping page. Let's now move on to the privacy policy. Okay, the privacy policy. This one is quite straightforward. The good news is that you can use a template for this. Our one is linked in the description, so download it and you can use it for your store. But make sure that the template covers these 7 things, because this is what Google's actually looking at. So what information you collect from your customers, why you collect it, who you share it with, how do you keep it secure and for how long, how you collect it, how customers can opt out or delete their data, and that everything complies with the laws of the country that you're selling in. And make sure your policy specifically mentions GDPR and CCPA compliance and how you handle data for personalized ads. Google's AI actually scans for these terms. If they're missing it, it can push your risk meter up even if everything else looks fine. And one last thing, make sure that your contact information is at the bottom of this page. Name, email, physical address. Google wants to see that the person responsible for handling customer data is reachable. It's a small thing, but it's part of what keeps your risk meter down. Next, terms and conditions. We've got a template for this one too, link is down below. But unlike the privacy policy, I'd recommend that you go through it carefully. Make sure that it actually applies to your specific store before you just copy and paste it. Here are the 6 things that Google looks for on this page. That customers are accepting an agreement when they use your site, your limitations of liability and any disclaimers, your intellectual property rights, what happens if the relationship is terminated, how you notify customers of any changes to the terms, and your contact information. That's it. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, now let's get into the product page. Alright guys, the product page. This is where Google's shopping traffic actually lands, so Google gives it extra scrutiny. Not just your store in general, we're talking about the product page itself. We've put together a quick 10-point checklist just for this. You can grab the full download in the description below this video, but let's go through it now. First, your product title. Keep it clean and relevant to the product. No promotional copy like free shipping or buy now. No emojis, no random characters, just describe what the product actually is. Second, description. Google knows when descriptions are too short, so just describe the product properly. Materials, dimensions, use case, whatever's relevant. The more thorough, the better. And right alongside your description, make sure you have a review section on your product page. Whether that's existing reviews or just a widget where customers can leave one. Google sees this as a trust signal. A product page with no review section at all looks thin and unestablished. Most Shopify themes have this built in, just make sure it's turned on and visible. Third, images. Even though lifestyle images tend to get a higher CTR, Google actually prefers clean white backgrounds. Also make sure there's no text overlay at all. Keep them at least 250 by 250 pixels and under 16 megabytes. Basically, just the product, a clean background, nothing on top. Fourth, price. Your price needs to be identical across 3 places. Your ad, your product page, and your checkout. Any mismatch anywhere in that chain and Google will disapprove the product immediately. So just make sure that these are always in sync. Fifth, sale price. If you're running a sale, make sure it matches your product feed. And if the sale has an end date, state it clearly on the page. 6, availability. If a product is out of stock on Shopify, it needs to show as out of stock in Merchant Center too. Google checks this. A mismatch here is a fast track to disapproval. 7th, payment methods. You don't need to put this on every product page individually. The footer works just fine. Just make sure somewhere on the page a customer can see what payment methods you accept. Visa, PayPal, whatever you take, show the logos in the footer. 8th, add to cart button. There needs to be a clear way to start a purchase from the product page. Pretty straightforward, but just make sure it's there and visible. 9th, important links. Links to your privacy policy needs to be accessible from the product page. We'll cover exactly where to put these in the footer section coming up. I also like adding a shipping and returns tab directly in the product description. It makes it easier for the customer and Google sees it immediately. And also, state your shipping cost or free shipping right near the add to cart button. Google loves transparency and it keeps your risk meter down. 10th, any other relevant information. Anything a customer needs to know before buying. Shipping weight if you charge by weight. If the product isn't available for express shipping. If customization adds to handling time. Any legal warnings or disclaimers for claims you've made about the product. Durability, function, that kind of thing. Okay guys, that's the 10-point checklist for your product page. Let's now get to the footer. Okay guys, last one here, the footer. Think of the footer as the first thing that Google's bot checks when it crawls your store. So we need to make sure that everything is looking just right here. Here's what you need to put in it. Links to your privacy policy pages, like your About Us page, Contact Us, Returns and Refunds, Privacy Policy, Terms and Conditions, and the Shipping Policy. Your payment icons, Visa, PayPal, whatever you accept, just make sure that they're visible. And your business name and physical address. And this is important, it needs to be actual text, not an image. Google's bot can't read images. If your address is embedded in a graphic, it's like it doesn't exist. And while you're at it, add your email and phone number down there too. Add your business hours, something like Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You don't have to include every single one of these, but the more contact information that's visible in your footer, the better. It all adds to your legitimacy in Google's eyes and keeps that risk meter in the green. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what Google Merchant Center is, how to set it up for your e-commerce store, and how to navigate the dashboard. You'll see what's important, what you can skip, and what directly impacts your ad performance. Let's get into it. So before your products can show up in Google Shopping or in a Performance Max campaign, Google needs to know what you're selling. And that's exactly what Google Merchant Center is for. Think of it as the place where you tell Google everything about your store. Your products, your prices, your inventory, all of it. Without it, your campaigns can't run. And if it's not set up correctly, your products won't get approved, which means they won't show up anywhere. So let's get this done properly from the start. Okay, first thing, go to google.com/retail and click Get Started. Now, you'll need a Gmail or Google-based email for this. My recommendation here is to use the same email that you use for your Google Ads and your Google Analytics accounts. It'll make everything much easier to manage long term. Google's going to ask you some questions about your business. They're checking if you're eligible for an account. I'm going to select yes, we do sell products online. Then I'll enter my store's URL here. And no, we don't have a physical store. Click Continue. Google's going to remind you one more time that Merchant Center is for products, not services. Just making sure that you're in the right place. So let's keep going. All right, now this is important. They're asking you for your business name. I see a lot of store owners make a mistake here. They put in their legal or corporation name. Don't do that. Put the name in that you actually use when you advertise, your doing business as name, because this is what's going to show up next to your ads. So you want it to match what customers already know you as. For example, in this walkthrough, we're using this store called Pet Toy Land. And that's exactly what we'll enter here. Okay, now we've finally cracked into the account interface. Google's given you a checklist here that needs to be completed before you can run shopping ads. But for now, let's focus on the first two. They're pretty straightforward. First up, add your business address. You'll notice you can't change the country here. That's locked in from earlier. and there's no way to change it without creating a brand new account. So make sure you got that right the first time. For the address itself, and this is important, don't use a PO box or a rented address. Only use an address where you actually receive mail. Google wants to see where you actually operate from. And don't worry, this address stays private. It won't be shown publicly anywhere. Okay, let's save that. Alright, we'll complete the rest of that checklist in the upcoming videos. But for now, let me walk you through the Merchant Center interface so you know where everything is. Let's start with the top left navigation. First thing you'll see is Overview. Honestly, most people skip right past this page. It's just Google showing you what they think is important when you log in. But the insights here are better found in other sections, so don't spend too much time here. Next is Notifications. This is where Google puts anything that they think needs your immediate attention. Warnings, issues, things like that. Now, let's look at the Products and Store menu. Depending on your location, this might say Products and Shop instead. Same thing. First up, Products. This is going to be the section that you use most. It's where you'll see the full list of all your products that have been added to Merchant Center. Next is Automations. This used to be called Automatic Improvements in older versions of Merchant Center. By the way, you'll notice Google updates their interface every 6 months or so. They're constantly trying to make it simpler and add features that help you organize your products better. So what is Automations? Basically, you're giving Google permission to make adjustments to your product information automatically. That way, you don't have to do it manually. And honestly, I recommend turning these on. Google can spot required changes way faster than we can as store owners. Let me show you what I mean. The first option is Automatic Image Improvements. If your main product image has text or logo on it, Google's system will automatically remove it. This matters because it keeps your image from getting disapproved. That means your product stays live in your shopping campaigns. The other boxes here, pricing, availability, and product conditions, are already turned on by default. I recommend leaving those on. Now, the last one is really important, shipping updates. Google will automatically update your shipping policy info to match what's on your website, and I strongly recommend turning this on. A lot of store owners update their policy on their website and they completely forget to update it here in Merchant Center, and that causes a huge problem. If your policies don't match, Google can suspend your entire Google Merchant Center account. That means your store is banned from advertising on Google Shopping until you fix it. We get stores coming to our agency every single day to fix Merchant Center suspensions. And the number one mistake we see causing suspensions, this exact issue. So turn this one on. It'll save you a massive headache down the road. Next on the menu is shipping and returns. These policies are really important to get right, so I'm covering them in their own dedicated video. Check the description for that link. Now, store quality. We'll come back to this once your campaigns have been running for a bit. Basically, this is Google's scorecard for your store compared to your competitors. If Google thinks you're a top quality store, they might even add a badge to your ads saying so. We'll revisit this section as your account grows. You want to make sure you're competitive on things like shipping speed and how well you're presenting your products according to Google's standards. Next section, creative content. First thing under here is Product Studio. This is an AI tool where you can try and improve your product images. My team and I have tested it out, and honestly, it's more of a distraction than something that actually helps your profitability. There are way better AI tools out there for improving product images. Feel free to play around with it if you want, but don't spend too much time here until Google improves this tool a lot more. Now, video assets. This is a newer feature in the creative content section. Think of this as your brand's video library. Google pulls videos from your linked social media accounts and your website and brings them here for review. This can be helpful when you're setting up a Performance Max campaign. If a video is in this list, it automatically syncs to your Google Ads account, making it easier to select during setup. But if your focus right now is just launching your first Google Shopping campaign, you can skip this part for now. Alright, now let's go to the marketing section on the left menu. We're going to skip ad campaigns entirely because it's way too basic for managing your campaigns properly. We'll handle all of that inside your Google Ads account instead. Next is marketing methods. Under here, you'll see shopping ads and free listings. For shopping ads, we're not setting them up here. We'll do that in Google Ads, but free listings, I recommend keeping these enabled. Free listings let Google show your products in shopping search results organically. This means they're not pay-per-click ads, they're free. Obviously, paid ads get way more visibility, but free listings are still worth having on. It's free traffic. The next two links under Analytics are pretty basic. You can get way better reports elsewhere, like in Google Analytics or inside your Google Ads account. Summary just shows you a simple click report and some trend insights. And Products is where Google tries to give you insights into how your products are trending. It also shows you how you're performing against your competitors. This can actually be valuable once you're running campaigns. It helps you understand how visible you are to shoppers in the marketplace. All right, last section, settings. This is really important, so pay attention. First thing in the settings menu is general. Google does a decent job explaining what each option does, but I want to call out one thing in particular, product protection. I recommend turning this on and leaving it at the default 40%. What this means is that you'll get an alert before any action removes 40% or more of your products from Merchant Center. Accidental deletion happens more often than you think. This is a really good safety measure. Next is business info. This is where you can edit your business details. You'll notice that you can add way more information here than what you were asked for during setup. This includes things like customer service info, business identity attributes, and your social media profiles. The Stores tab is for physical store locations. If you have a physical store, you'd add your Google business profile here. That way, you can show local ads to shoppers who might want to pick up items in store. And countries, that's where you select which countries your ads can appear in. Next up, data sources. We'll dive into this more when we get to setting up your product feed. For now, just know that this is where you manage all your external connections to Merchant Center. Next, you'll see add-ons. Think of add-ons like the App Store for your account. These are optional features you can turn on to enhance your ads. I'm covering these in detail in standalone videos in this Google Shopping series. Check the description. I've linked all the videos I've mentioned right there. And finally, access and services. This section has two parts, and the second one is critical. First, people and access. This is where you add and manage who can access this account. You can assign different levels of access. Admin has full control, standard has some control, and performance and insights only lets people read reports. And the second part, apps and services. This section is the bridge that connects your Merchant Center account to other platforms. This is where you'll link your Google Ads account so your products can actually show up in paid searches. You can also link Google Analytics here to track your sales. Now, if you're using Shopify, the process is a little different. You'll usually start by installing the Google and YouTube app inside your Shopify dashboard. That app then connects to this section automatically. Once everything's linked, your store data stays in sync across all platforms. Without this connection, your ads simply won't run. So this is your top priority. Our next video walks through this step by step. If you want to follow along with me to make sure your account is set up properly, I highly recommend watching that next. Alright guys, that's it for this walkthrough. If you ran into any bottlenecks during this video or have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. My team and I, we read your comments and we try to answer as many as possible. In this video, you're going to learn how to add your business information into Google Merchant Center. Getting this right lets you set up Google Shopping and Performance Max campaigns for your store to generate sales and profits. Getting it wrong is one of the quickest ways to get a Google Merchant Center suspension. Because in 2026, Google is cross-checking your business information more than ever. So any mismatch between what's found in your Google Merchant Center account and what's on your website is going to get your account flagged. This video is your step-by-step guide to getting it right. Let's get into it. First, let's go into our Merchant Center account. Scroll down to Settings and click on Business Info in the left-hand menu. Notice that we've got three tabs: Details, Stores, and Countries. Under Details, we see a box with the address that we added when we set up our account. Now, when we click Edit Business Details, we can add more information below. For business name, you can update that right here. You want to use your trade name here, the name that you actually do business under. Don't use suffixes like Inc. or Co. No promotional text, emojis, or trademark symbols either. Keep it simple. Google will flag anything that looks off. And this is also the name that's going to show on your ads, so make sure it's exactly how you want it to appear. Next here, we've got business address. If you need to update it, you can do that right here. But do not use a PO box or rented mailbox address. That's against Google's policy. And make sure that the address that you put here matches the address on your website. Google cross-references these. For customer service, add the URL for your store's Contact Us page. Add the email address you want customers to reach you at. For the phone number, just be aware that Google can publish this publicly. So only add a number you're actually ready to take customer service calls on. You can also indicate whether you offer live chat or a chatbot, and set your preferred contact method. Now, this section isn't mandatory. Google already looks for this information on your website. So technically you could skip it, but I'd strongly recommend that you don't. Google can make errors, and those errors can lead to a suspension. Google takes your transparency as a business very seriously. It wants to see that you're clearly reachable by shoppers. Making sure this information is correct, both on your site and here in Merchant Center, is really important. We've seen hundreds of businesses neglect this section and end up with a suspension because of it. Next are your business identity attributes. If you, as the store owner, identify with any of these, make sure to turn them on. There's no published data on how these affect campaign performance directly, but there is strong evidence that consumers actively look for and prefer diversely owned businesses, so it makes sense to use them if they do apply to you. One I'd recommend for almost everybody watching this is turn on the small business attribute. Unless you have more than 500 employees, you do qualify. Consumer support for small business is growing, and if Google starts making it easier for shoppers to find you as a small business, there's no reason to not have it on. Next, Google asks for your store's social media profiles. If your store has an active social presence, add these. Google may include your shopping profiles alongside your business information when showing it to shoppers. That builds trust with customers who use social media as part of how they research and how they shop. You might notice that some of these sections don't show up in Merchant Center. That's completely normal. As your account matures, some features will become available over time, and others just aren't available in certain countries yet. The next section is only if you wish to advertise in South Korea. You'll need to add your valid Korean business registration number here. And finally, if you're selling adult-oriented content, you need to check this box right here. Okay, next we have the Stores tab. If you have one or more physical store locations, this is where you connect them to your Merchant Center account. This lets Google show your products locally when there's an opportunity. The final tab is for countries. Now, you don't need to add the country you're actually registered in, but it doesn't hurt if you do either. But if you're ready to start advertising and shipping to other countries, be sure to add them here. And that's everything you need to know about business information in Google Merchant Center. And if you'd like help to scale your e-commerce store to 6 or 7 figures by experts that have done it before, come join us in the KeyCommerce Academy. We'll answer all your questions, review your account, and help you scale your e-commerce store and give you everything you need to avoid the mistakes that cause stores to waste budget without getting sales, or worse, get suspended. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to verify and claim your Shopify store on Google Merchant Center in less than 5 minutes. This is a required step before you can run Google Shopping or Performance Max campaigns. I'm going to walk you through the whole process step by step, so by the end of this video, you'll have this done and checked off. Let's get into it. All right, in your Google Merchant Center account, go to the Overview section. You'll see a checklist for everything you still need to do to get your Merchant Center account set up and ready. Let's click on Complete Setup. On some accounts, this might say Confirm the online store of your business. First, make sure that your online store URL is correct here. Then, select the first option, Use your e-commerce platform, and choose how you want to verify. I'm using Shopify, so I'll select that. Once you do, you'll see a set of instructions appear below. Now, we need to copy this code here in green. The easiest way is to just click this copy icon. Your browser should give you a notification that it's been copied. All right, now let's go to your Shopify dashboard. In Shopify, click Online Store, then Themes. On your live theme, click the 3 dots for theme actions, then select Edit Code. This will open a new tab with access to your theme's template files. Now, we do want to be careful when making edits here, but don't be intimidated by the code if this is all new to you. I'll walk you through it. On the left side, go to the Layout folder and click on theme.liquid. We're looking for one specific piece of text called a head tag. It's right here. If you want to find it faster, just search the code with Ctrl+F or Command F if you're on Mac. Now make a new line right before this tag and paste the code you copied earlier. Click Save. That's it, you've just added the verification code to your website. Now give it about a minute to process, then go back to Merchant Center and click Verify your online store. And with that, you've verified that you own your store URL and claimed it for your account. Alright guys, that's it. You've verified and claimed your store. Now, if you go back to the overview section in your Google Merchant Center account, you'll see that checklist that we started with. The next step is setting up your return and shipping settings in Google Merchant Center. In this video, you're going to learn how to set up your shipping and return settings in Google Merchant Center. You'll need to do this before you can run your shopping and your Performance Max campaigns. Let's get into it. First, log into your Merchant Center account and click on Shipping and Returns on the left menu. Shipping Policies is the first tab here, so we'll tackle this first. Click Add Shipping Policy here. Now before we add our policies, there's one thing to check. If you don't have a shipping policy on your website, go to the link below this video and get access to our shipping policy template. You can use this to create the shipping policies page for your store with all the information that Google requires. I'll leave a link to that down below. Here, you select which country or countries this shipping policy applies to. I'm going to select United States for this one and hit Continue. Next, it's asking which products this policy applies to. I'm going to select All Products. I'm keeping this simple for now, but I do want to quickly touch on the Specific Products option here. It's worth knowing about, even if you don't need it right now. This will only take 20 seconds. In your product data feed, which we cover in our other videos, you'll need to set up an attribute called Shipping Label. And for any products you want a specific shipping policy to apply to, you assign them to a label under that attribute. For example, oversized freight. Once that's in your feed, you come back here, select specific products, and assign that label to the policy. Now, let's return to setting up this shipping policy and click Continue. This page is about determining delivery times. Google tries to make it easy for you if you just use one popular carrier in your country. For example, if you are in the United States and you just use FedEx, you will add the address that you ship from here. Then you'll add the maximum number of days it takes you to get that product into that carrier's hands. This is your handling time. Set the days you actually fulfill orders and the cutoff time for orders coming in that day. For example, if your cutoff is 2 p.m. and your handling time is 1 day, any order placed at 12 p.m. needs to be with the carrier by the following day. But an order coming in at 3 p.m. can go out in 2 business days. Next, you set the carrier and its service level. Now, if you use different carriers depending on the product or the shipping option your customers select, there's another option. Choose Enter Specific Delivery Times manually. Here, you'll set your cutoff time and handling time again, and then set a range for your expected transit times. That's the number of days from the moment your carrier picks up the product to when it arrives at your customer's door. You'll set a minimum and a maximum. That's your delivery range. You can apply this to all destinations or set it by custom destination zones if you ship to specific regions differently. And down below, you'll see how Google is interpreting all of this under total delivery time. It's worth checking to make sure it matches what you expect. If that looks right, click Continue. On this last step of the process, Google wants to know how much the shipping costs. If you decide to offer free shipping for all your items, then simply go with the default here and click Save. Now, I strongly recommend offering free shipping. 9 out of 10 shoppers say that free shipping is the biggest incentive to buy online. Stores that offer free shipping have 30% higher average order values. And 61% of shoppers say that they'll likely abandon their order if free shipping isn't available. The numbers speak for themselves. If you can make it work for your margins, offer it. If free shipping doesn't work for your business, Google gives you several ways to calculate shipping pricing. The descriptions in Merchant Center are pretty clear, so I won't walk you through each one here. You'll be able to figure out which one applies to you. And if anything changes down the line, editing these policies is straightforward. So click Save on your setup and let's get to your return policy. Under the Return Policies tab, you may already see information populated here. If so, Google has already crawled your store and pulled in your return policy automatically. Review it and choose to accept and continue. Or edit and continue. Or start over, depending on your situation. Either way, the next page is where you review or fill in the key details of your return policy. One thing to note, Google requires your store to have a dedicated returns policy page, and you need to give it the URL for that page here. If you don't have one yet, or you want to make yours stronger, grab our returns policy template. You can use it to copy and paste the policies that we recommend for your store. I'll leave a link to that down below in the description. For your return policy, you'll start by selecting which countries it applies to, then whether you accept returns and whether you accept exchanges. Hit continue and the next page covers 2 more details: what condition the product needs to be in for a return to be accepted, and how long the customer has to initiate it. You can also add an extended window around the holidays, which a lot of bigger retailers do. On the final page, Google asks for 4 last things: how a customer can return items, what currency the refund will be issued in, whether you charge a restocking fee, and if so, how much, and how long it takes for the customer to actually receive their refund. Once you've filled everything in and hit next, Google shows you a full summary of your policy to review before confirming. Make sure your website return policy and what you've entered here match exactly. Google monitors this strictly. Any discrepancy can get your product disapproved or your account suspended. If you have separate return policies for different countries, repeat this process for each one. And with that done, you've completed your shipping and return setup at the account level. Google can now pull the correct information and display it directly in your ads. Before we wrap up, let me go through a few common mistakes that we see when we audit Google Merchant Center accounts for our clients. And if you want us to audit your account, we'll show you exactly what's costing you money and losing you sales. Link is down below. Okay, the first mistake. Store owners often set all of this up correctly, and then they update their shipping and returns policy on their website without coming back to update it here on Google Merchant Center. Google explicitly checks the shipping costs in your Merchant Center account and what you show on your website. If there's a mismatch, your listings will get rejected. And a big one for Shopify users. If you're using the Google and YouTube app in Shopify, make sure that your shipping rate submission is set to manual. If it's set to automatic, it's going to completely override all the settings you've just set up in Google Merchant Center. I'll finish this lesson the same way that I started it. Your shipping and returns policies are part of your marketing. Free shipping and a generous return window can be expensive, but this is how a lot of stores find real success. The data is really clear, guys. Shoppers want to shop at stores that reduce the risk of making a bad purchase. And Google knows this too, and that's why they put this information directly in your shopping ads. So guys, that's how you set up your shipping and return settings in Google Merchant Center. The next step is linking your Google Merchant Center account to Google Ads, so you can start setting up your Google Ads campaigns. In this video, you're going to learn how to link your Google Merchant Center account to your Google Ads account. All right guys, head over to your Google Merchant Center account. In the left-hand menu, scroll down and open up Settings. From there, click on Access and Services, then go to Apps and Services and hit Add Service. Here, select Google Ads and click Next. Google already knows your account, so it's showing it right here under Your Account. Select that and click Next. If you don't see your account here, it likely means you've logged in with a different Google account than the one that your Google Ads is registered to. Switch accounts and try again. You'll land on a review page showing how data flows between your 2 accounts. Give it a quick look to make sure everything looks right, then click Link. And that's it, your accounts are now linked. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get your products into Google Merchant Center. Once your products are synced over, you can start running Google Shopping and Performance Max campaigns. Okay, so we're starting in your Shopify admin. Go to Settings, then Apps and Sales Channels. From here, click Shopify App Store, search for the Google and YouTube app, and click Install. It's going to ask you to confirm. Just click Install again. That's just giving Google access to your store. Once that's done, click Connect Google Account. Sign in with whatever Google account you're using for your ads and Merchant Center. Google will ask you a couple of times. Just keep clicking through. If you've already gone through the compliance video that I mentioned, you're good to go. Connect your Merchant Center account. You'll probably just see one option here. Click Connect. Now scroll down and let's go through these settings quickly. Product sync, leave that on automatic. You don't want to be manually syncing this. Target country and language. Set that up and hit save. Now for shipping settings, this one depends on your situation. If you haven't set up any manual shipping settings inside your Merchant Center account already, leave this on automatic. That'll pull your Shopify delivery settings directly into GMC and keep everything in sync. But if you've already set up manual shipping settings in Merchant Center and want to keep them, switch this to manual. Otherwise, automatic will overwrite them. So just double check which situation you're in before you hit save. Check out link settings. Leave that on automatic too. You want everything pulling from Shopify so it stays consistent. Accept the terms and conditions, choose your countries and languages. Okay, now click Complete Setup. Now, you'll need to give the system up to an hour to connect, so don't do this right away. After a few minutes, go to Settings in the bottom left corner and open the menu. From there, scroll down to Data Sources. You'll see Content API listed here. That means it's connected and everything is set up correctly. And that's how you get your Shopify products connected into Google Merchant Center. The next thing you'll need to do after you watch this video is optimizing those products in your product data feed. Doing this allows you to generate a lot more traffic, a lot more sales, and a lot more profits from your campaigns. And also, finally guys, if you want help on setting up and getting all this stuff done for your Merchant Center account and your Google Shopping, we can help too. We have a community called the KeyCommerce Academy. My team are in there every single week helping you guys with all your issues. Live calls, Q&As, everything you need to grow your e-commerce store. And honestly, the community itself is great. Everyone's sharing wins, everyone's helping each other out. If that sounds like something interesting to you, go check out the KeyCommerce Academy. I'll leave the link down below as well. In this video, you're going to learn how to optimize your product feed and your product data in Google Merchant Center. Not optimizing your product feed is one of the biggest mistakes store owners can make, and it's directly costing you sales and profits. Most store owners just create the product feed and they don't realize that you can edit it further, and you can do it without changing anything on your website. Now, why is this more important than ever? Because shopping has completely changed. We're dealing with AI-driven shopping assistants now. When a buyer uses Google's AI to find a product, it completely bypasses your website. It goes straight to the raw data inside your Google Merchant Center account to answer the buyer's questions. If your feed is incomplete, the AI skips you and recommends a competitor that has a complete feed. And that's not just AI mode. Even on the regular Google search and the Google Shopping tab, Google uses the product feed and the product data to understand what your products are and who to show them to when you run your Google Shopping and Performance Max campaigns. Let me show you what I mean. Say you have a store that sells handmade rugs, minimalist design, short product names that look great on your site. Something like the Midnight Oasis. We see this all the time when we audit stores at our agency. And it works perfectly as a brand product name. But as a product title in your product feed, it's unoptimized. Nobody is searching for the Midnight Oasis. They're searching for navy blue, hand-knitted area rug 5x7. And if your feed doesn't say that, Google doesn't make the connection. You just missed a sale. So what we want to do is go into our Google Merchant Center account. We want to rewrite the title to include the keywords that actually matter. The material, the size, the pattern, the production method, all of it. And that's exactly what we're covering in this video today. We also put together a full handbook that goes into everything we're going to cover. Completely free, you'll find it down in the description down below. So let's get into Google Merchant Center and start optimizing. Over on the left-hand menu, click on Products. This pulls up your active catalog. Click on a specific item and open its product details page. This is the exact raw data Google is looking at. To make changes, hit the Edit Product button right here. Now, a quick but important warning before we go any further. If you're using a third-party feed app like Semprosi's or Data Feed Watch, you want to make these attribute edits in your feed app's mapping settings, not directly in Merchant Center. That's where the data is coming from. These apps sit between your store and Google. If you manually edit the title here, your app will likely override it next time it syncs. The strategies we're covering are exactly the same. You'll just have to apply them in your feed tool instead. And one more thing before we dive in. Nothing you edit here touches your actual website. If you change a title in Merchant Center, your ads will use the new version, but your Shopify or WooCommerce store will still show the original. Okay, let's run through each of these attributes one by one. This is the product page link. Pretty self-explanatory. I recommend you don't change it. Now here's the product title. This is an attribute I do recommend you consider for revising. You want to think like a shopper here and put in the keywords that best describe your product. That's, of course, its product type. such as navy blue hand-knitted area rug, to reuse my previous example, but also keywords that narrow down from a broad product category to more specific. With the rug example, that could be the material, like hand-spun wool or natural cotton. It could be the weave style, like hand-knitted or flat woven. It could be the size, like 5x7 or 8x10. Or the pattern, like geometric or floral. And even the dye method, like plant-based natural dyes. You see how these keywords are search terms that shoppers might use. Therefore, you want Google to consider your product highly relevant to them. Now, don't overdo this. You don't want to keyword stuff your title. You see this when shopping on Amazon quite often with long word salad titles. You want to be specific and descriptive. That's it. Okay, moving on to the brand attribute. If you're selling your own stuff, this will be your store's name or the specific brand you've assigned to the product. If you're reselling a major brand, let's say a Timex watch, then you'll want to put that brand in here. Next is the description. And this matters more than it used to. AI assistants scan this text to understand how a product is used in the real world. So make sure it covers the practical features. What the item is made of, how it's used, care instructions, anything a buyer would want to know. Don't just put your website description and leave it. If it's too vague, rewrite it to clearly describe what the product actually is. And keep it free of promotional text such as free shipping or buy one get one free or anything like that, as that's against Google's policies. Let's scroll down to product images. For optimization, Google offers a generative AI tool to help you spruce up your images. I'm going to leave that outside the scope of this video. To be honest, it hasn't been that useful for my team so far. There are other AI tools out there that do a better job. But if you have 3D models of your product, absolutely add those URLs here. Let's keep going. Next is product type. This is just for your own organization, not Google's. It's useful for when you're creating product groups based on the product type. Moving on to condition. This is simply where you can identify if your product is refurbished or used. Otherwise, Google assumes a default of new. Now for price, currency, availability, sale price, and sale date range, I suggest that you change these at the data source. That means if your data source is your Shopify store, change these details there, not here. Google checks these attributes regularly, each day. A discrepancy can get your product disapproved quickly. I've never seen a situation where it's better to change these attributes directly in Merchant Center. The next section covers product identifiers. This is where many common mistakes happen, so please pay close attention here. This section will save you from some future headaches. The ID or SKU is the unique identifier for this product for Google. If you've successfully imported your feed from Shopify, this should already be filled in. Do not overwrite it. Doing so would create a new product for Google. Then it will forget all the data history it collected for the original one. My team and I have seen entire catalogs get their IDs accidentally changed. All campaign performance dropped immediately after. The next field for your products is GTIN, or Global Trade Item Number. This can have several other acronyms such as UPC, EAN, or ISBN. Basically, it's the internationally recognized ID for your product. You know the barcode that gets scanned at checkout? It's that. Your product might not have one, and that's okay, we'll cover that in a few seconds. But if your product does have a GTIN code, this is where you want to enter it. One of the most common warnings that Google has for products is missing GTIN. That's because when it believes that a product has one, it wants to be absolutely sure. Because a product with a GTIN is likely not only being sold by you, but by other sellers online too. If Google can identify all these products as the same one, it can better optimize your ads. This is because it uses the data history of how all the sellers have performed with this product. This is why it presses so hard for an accurate GTIN here. However, not all products have GTINs. You may have a one-of-a-kind or vintage product with no identifier. Or you can assign an MPN, Manufacturer Part Number. If your product isn't one-of-a-kind, then it's crucial that you have an MPN. Make up one if you have to, that's totally fine. Just keep it unique within your catalog. This lets Google know that this product can be purchased multiple times. That's important because it will start learning about how the product performs with your shopping audience. If it's a one-of-a-kind item, Google won't bother much trying to learn about it. Because there's no real point. We've seen so many store sellers make this mistake. In turn, they lose out on Google's smart optimization because they miss this. Okay, the next three sections are language, countries, and marketing methods. These attributes aren't editable at a product level. Google displays them here just for reference, so let's skip over to custom labels. These labels are not visible to shoppers on Google. They're simply used by you, the advertiser, for your own purposes. The most common and useful way to use this is for product segmentation. This is useful for a few things, like if you want to label all your high margin products, your best sellers, or your high ticket items. Then, when you set up your campaign, you can organize your products according to these labels. My team uses these on almost all client accounts. They're very useful. All right, let's review the next section, which is called Apparel Product Details. It's called that because these attributes are mandatory if your product is apparel. However, even if your product isn't apparel, we strongly suggest that you put in relevant information here. For example, if you're selling a couch, then color, size, material, and pattern are all attributes that people filter by when couch shopping. Or if you're selling a kid's bike designed for girls, then gender and age group make sense to put in. Let's run through each of these attributes. For color, choose dominant color. If there's a second color, add a slash and then that color as well. If there's a third color, add another slash and that third color. Stop adding colors after that. Google only wants the 3 most dominant colors. If your product has a bunch of colors and none are dominant, simply enter multicolored. And as a recommendation, keep your color name simple. Instead of dusty ash, just use gray. Instead of blushing rose, just use pink. This ensures your products can be properly filtered by color on Google. For size, also just keep it simple. Use S for small, M for medium, and so on. For example, for shoe size, use 11.5 for 11.5. For non-apparel items, it gets less intuitive, so my team has written up a guide that I'll share with you. It helps understand the best formats to use here when size is an important attribute of your product. I'll leave a link down below. The size type attribute is specific to apparel only. It refers to the cut, whether it's petite, plus sized, regular, or tall, and so on. Size system is also just for apparel. Because different countries have different systems of indicating size measurements, this is where you can ensure Google gets it right. Next is gender. If your product isn't targeted towards a gender, just keep this on the default of unisex. Material works like the color attribute. Input the dominant material, then secondary and third as necessary. Pattern is not a mandatory attribute, but if your product has a pattern, then this is the place to indicate it. Age group is self-explanatory since Google shows the age ranges in the selection fields. In the additional product details section, I'm going to cover 5 of these attributes. The last 4 are very particular to only a few types of products. The first one here is whether this product is adult-oriented. That's very different from setting the age group to adult. Google allows for the advertiser of adult-oriented products in most countries, but it strictly demands that they be categorized as such. The next is multi-pack. Multi-pack means that you've taken 2 or more of the same item that is available in your store and combined them into one package. For example, let's say you sell t-shirts. You can sell them individually in your store, but you can also create a package of 2 t-shirts. In this case, you would put the number 2 for this multi-pack product. This is different from creating a bundle, which is the next attribute. Checking this would indicate to Google that this product is a package of 2 or more different items packaged into a bundle. Next is item group ID. Let's say you're selling a t-shirt and it comes in different sizes and colors. The t-shirt itself is considered one product, and each available size or color is called a variation. So if this item is one of those variations, item group ID is how you can identify the product it belongs to. This ID must be unique to that product and remain the same for all of its variants. The final attribute I want to cover in this section is product highlight. Small online store owners do not make enough use of this attribute in the product data. Let's say you make and sell quilts, and the materials that you use are all completely organic. This is where you should share that as a product highlight. It will help Google know that when shoppers specifically look for organic or sustainable bedding, that this product is relevant to advertise. Every product has at least 3 or 4 highlights like this that can be called out. It just takes a bit of time and thought on your part. See below for a link to product highlights for various products that may help in writing these. These are the small details that give you an edge, especially when you're competing against major online stores with much bigger budgets. Okay, the rest of the attributes are pretty straightforward in what Google requires. If you have any questions about them or you want a deep dive on any specific attribute, Drop it in the comments down below. Now, if you have a very large feed, editing manually in Google Merchant Center can get time consuming pretty quickly. There are other tools that can make this a lot easier to manage at scale, and if you want us to cover these in a separate video, let us know in the comments down below. And if you'd rather have our team handle all of the product optimization and scaling your campaigns for you, get in touch with us. Our clients don't just get campaigns. They get a complete ad setup built around their margins, their products, and their growth targets, managed by the same team that scaled stores to 7 figures. Book in a free strategy session with my team and we'll show you how to do this for your own store. In this video, you're going to learn how to run promotions in Google Merchant Center for your Google Shopping campaigns. Merchant Center promotions are one of the easiest ways to make your Google Shopping ads stand out. And most store owners never set them up. Here's what they look like on your ads. Your listing takes up more space so it stands out in the search results. Your offer shows directly in the search results. And that usually leads to a higher CTR, more clicks, without changing your budget. Now, shopping ads are getting more and more competitive. So anything that gives your ad more visibility is really worth doing. I'm going to show you exactly how to set this up right now. But before we start, you will need a promo code already set up on your store. If you haven't yet done that, I've left a video in the description showing you a video on how to do this in Shopify. Get that done first, then come back here. Let's get into it. All right, first log into Google Merchant Center. In the left-hand side, scroll down to Settings and click on Add-ons. Keep scrolling until you locate the Promotions add-on card under the Discover tab and click on Add. Once that's done, you'll see a brand new Promotions tab appear under the Marketing section on the left menu. Let's click on that Promotions tab, hit Add Promotion, and then select Create Promotion. The first thing we're going to do is select the country that our promotion is applicable to. For this example, we will use the United States. We'll keep the default language here, and the currency will automatically be set to the default currency of our account. Next, pick your start and end dates. But be careful here, because Google ends promos at midnight the day before. So if you want to make your sale to run through May 30th, make sure you set the end time to May 30th at 11:59 p.m. Now here, we're asked where we want the promotion to appear. In our ads, in the free product listings that Google offers us, in its Chrome browser where they have features to sometimes show seller promotions, or in the Google Wallet app, which is a new feature. Generally, you want to keep all of these selected. This will get you the most exposure for your promotion as possible. Okay, now let's move to Shopper Incentive, and here we have 6 promotion categories. The first being a fixed amount off. So, for example, $100 off. This optional field lets you cap how many items the discount actually applies to. So for example, even if a shopper buys 5 items, you can set it so only 2 of them get the discount. Now, the next type of promotion that you can run is a percentage off. This can be simply a percentage off like 20%, or you may require that shoppers buy a certain quantity of products to get a percentage off, which you would indicate down here. Or you can set a maximum discount amount. So for example, even if the 20% off would equal $100 on a large order, you can cap it at 50, so you're always in control of how much you're giving away. You'll set the parameters down here. One important thing here, whatever discount you set up in GMC needs to also exist as a promo code in your store platform. If it's not there, the discount won't apply at checkout. So make sure your store platform promo code matches exactly what you've set up here. The third is discount range. This lets you show a range rather than a fixed number. You can set it as up to a certain amount, from a certain amount up, or between 2 amounts. And you can apply this as either a fixed amount off or a percentage off. This works well if you're covering promotions across products at different price points and want one promotion to cover all of them. The fourth is cashback. This works similarly to the discount promotions. You can offer a fixed amount back, for example, get $20 cash back on your order. Or a percentage back, for example, get 10% cash back. Same rules apply, whatever you set here must match exactly what you've set up in your store. My favorite promotion to set up is free shipping, and it's the one I recommend starting with. When you select it, you'll need to choose the delivery speed, standard, overnight, or 2-day. And this matters because Google gives extra visibility to ads that offer fast and free shipping. Your listing gets additional labels that make it stand out in the results, which means more visibility and more clicks. Just make sure the shipping speed you select here matches what you've already set up in your GMC shipping settings. If they don't align, Google will flag it. And the 6th and final promotion type is free gift. You can offer a free gift from your existing inventory, such as a specific product you already sell. You can offer a gift card, or you can select another gift and describe what the gift is manually. This one is great for increasing average order value. Shoppers are much more likely to add to their cart when there's something extra in it for them. The promotion condition is where you'll enter the minimum purchase amount you'll allow for free shipping eligibility, either by the number of items or by the number of purchases, or you can choose none. You'll also notice there's another optional eligibility field here. This is where you can get more targeted with who actually receives the promotion. For example, you can limit it to first-time shoppers only, existing members, or even use it as an incentive for people to join your membership. It's a really powerful way to make sure your promotions are working strategically for your business, not just giving away discounts to everybody. I've gone through each option so you have a clear idea of all the promotion types and conditions you can set up inside Merchant Center. These can become great scaling strategies in the future. But for now, I'd recommend keeping things simple when setting up your first promotion. Go with the easiest options that make sense for your business, because right now, your first goal is to get sales coming into your store. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'll set these to none and move on to the next section, which is audiences. You can either show your promotion to everybody searching for products on Google, or get more targeted by clicking Show to Preferred Audiences. Under this, you can choose your audience, and here you have two options. The first is new customers. These are shoppers who haven't interacted with your brand before. Just be aware, this audience type is exclusively for shopping ads, not free listings. The second option is location, where you target customers based on where they are. This one is exclusively for organic. To use it, you'll need to set up regions first. That's an add-on inside Google Merchant Center, and it needs to be configured before this option can apply. For most e-com stores though, I'd recommend just going with Show to All. It's the simplest and gives your promotion the widest visibility. Okay, let's click Next. Now we'll choose which products we want to run this promotion for. Google gives you a few options here. It can automatically select products for you based on your best sellers. You can use filters to narrow it down by specific products, product types, brands, or item IDs. This is useful if you only want the promotion on certain products. These two filter options are generally for more advanced users. If you have mapped out your product feed, you can set up a promotion ID attribute. Just make sure it matches the promotion ID we set, or you can create an event with a destination URL. This is great if you're running a sale page for a special occasion or a product category, and you just want to point Google to that URL instead of selecting products manually. But for the easiest option, I'll simply apply this promotion to all products, which is what I'll do here. Next is the promotion title. Continuing with our example offering free shipping, I would probably just want to call it free shipping. It's a title that shoppers may see, so you don't want it to be an internal code or something like that. You want it to be shopper friendly and descriptive. And then promotion ID is not going to be visible to shoppers. This will only be used by you internally. Let's just enter free_ship. Finally, it asks you for a promo code to give to shoppers. This will be the promo code you created in your store platform, which customers will use at checkout. So here we'll add free shipping 2026 and then hit save. And that's it guys, your promotion is created. Once submitted, your promotion goes into a policy and SKU review. It'll show as pending. That usually takes between 1 and 24 hours. But during busy periods like Black Friday, it can take longer. So don't leave it to the last minute. Set your promotions up well in advance. Give Google time to approve before the day that you need them live. What we do with our clients is we plan out these promotions on a quarterly basis. Every major sales event mapped out from the start of the quarter. This ensures nothing gets missed and nothing is rushed. Our clients never miss a Black Friday, Valentine's Day, a summer sale, and that consistency is what helps keep the sales growing. We've actually put together the exact framework that we use with our clients, step by step with a free template included. It maps out every major sales event so you don't miss one. Go check it out, link is in the description, completely free. Go and use it for your store. In this video, you're going to learn about the structure of your Google Shopping campaigns. Understanding Google Shopping campaign structure helps you set up, optimize, and scale your campaigns profitably. Let's start by looking at how campaign structures actually look, starting right at the account level view. So this is the structure that you're going to be working with. Your account sits at the top. That's where everything lives. Inside your account, you have your campaigns. Inside each campaign, you have ad groups. And inside your ad groups, you have product groups. And that's where your actual products sit. The reason that this structure matters is simple. It lets you organize your products into categories that make sense. And when something's working or not working, you can see exactly where the problem is. Without it, everything is one big pile and you can't see anything clearly. So let me show you what this looks like with a real example. Let's say you sell games. So at the top level, your catalog is split into two campaigns, video games and board games. Inside board games, you have three ad groups: card games, trivia games, and strategy games. Go one level deeper into strategy games, and you've got your product groups: chess, backgammon, and classics. And finally, inside classics, you've got your actual products: Monopoly, Risk, and Stratago. Now, this matters so much for you as a store owner, because when everything is organized like this, you can set different goals for different parts of your catalog, and you can spot problems and opportunities fast. Let me give you one real example. Say you make less margin on Monopoly than you do on Risk. With this structure, you can go in and bid lower specifically on Monopoly. Or let's say that your strategy games ad group has a lower conversion rate than everything else. You can see that straight away and go and investigate. Maybe your product pages aren't strong enough. Maybe the pricing is higher than the competition. Or if your video games campaign has a much higher bounce rate than the board games campaign. That might mean that your site navigation for that section might need some work. And the reason that you can see all of this is because your structure lets you do that. And guys, I can't tell you how many times we've taken over an account where everything is just thrown into one ad group, and the store owner has no idea why their campaigns aren't working. So please, get this right from the start. It'll save you a lot of headaches down the road. Now, before you go in and set up your campaign structure, I want you to keep in mind one thing. When you're starting out, keep your campaigns as consolidated as possible. If you're selling products that are in the same general category, keep them in one campaign and separate them by ad group, because the more budget you have in one place, the faster that Google learns what works. But if you're selling products that are completely different audiences, different categories entirely, then yes, separate campaigns do make sense from the start. But if there's any doubt, start with one. You can always split later once you know what's selling. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a standard shopping campaign step by step. When set up the right way, this is what a shopping campaign can do for your store. I'm going to walk you through the exact process inside of Google Ads so you can get the same results. Now, before we get into this, you need to have two things already set up: your product feed and your Google Merchant Center account. Let's get into it. All right, let's go into our Google Ads account. To create a new campaign, click the plus icon here and select Campaign. The first thing Google's going to ask you is what your campaign goal is. This is basically Google's way of guiding you through the setup. It's designed for people who are brand new and don't know what they're doing yet. But at this point in our course, you already know more than most advertisers out there. So we're going to skip that and select Create a Campaign without a goals guidance. Here you'll see all the campaign types available. We're going to select Shopping. Next, Google asks you to confirm your campaign goal. Since we're running this for an e-com store, we want purchases. Next, we see our Merchant Center account, which is correctly connected to Google Ads. Now you'll see Google asking you again, Performance Max or Standard Shopping. It may seem confusing because you already selected Shopping instead of Performance Max, but this is Google nudging you towards PMax again. They do this a lot, and the more you work inside Google Ads, the more you'll notice it. And look, this is something we always tell our clients. Don't just go with whatever Google puts in front of you. Google's recommendations aren't always what's best for your store. We've already covered which one is right for you in the previous lesson, so select Standard Shopping and let's keep moving. And if you're ever unsure about a choice inside Google Ads, drop a comment below and we'll help you out. Okay, back to creating our campaign. Select Continue with a shopping campaign. Now it's asking you to name your campaign. Honestly, this one is personal preference. There's no right or wrong here, as long as the name is clear enough that you know what it is when you come back to it later. What we personally like to do is put our initials first, then the campaign type, then the country we're targeting. But whatever works for you is fine. All right, let's hit continue and move on. Okay, so the first thing you'll see here is your budget. This is how much you're willing to spend per day on average. Now we get asked this a lot, how much should I start with? Our recommendation is a minimum of $20 a day. Because when you launch a new campaign, Google needs time to learn. It's figuring out who your buyers are, which products are getting clicks, what's converting. And it learns from data. The more it sees, the smarter it gets. If your budget is too low, Google doesn't get enough data to figure any of that out. So it just sits there in what's called the learning phase, and your results are going to be slow and inconsistent until it gets out of it. So give Google enough room to learn. $20 a day is the minimum we'd recommend to get things moving. And honestly, the more you can put in early, the faster Google learns and the sooner you start seeing real results. You'll also notice a second option here, campaign total budget. This is where you set a fixed amount for the entire campaign runtime and Google will spend it by the end date that you set. For e-com stores, I don't recommend this. Your store needs consistent daily traffic to generate consistent sales. The only time a total budget makes sense is for short-term promotions. A weekend sale, a flash sale, something with a clear end date where you just want Google to spend a fixed amount by a specific time. For everything else, stick with daily budget. Next is bidding. We cover bidding strategies in another video, which I'll link down below, so we'll leave it on manual CPC for now to keep it simple. Next, you'll see customer acquisition settings. Leave this on default for now. Your account is new and Google doesn't have enough data yet to know who your existing customers are. So trying to optimize for new customers at this stage just doesn't make sense. Default means Google bids equally for everybody, new and existing customers. And right now, that's exactly what you want. We can look at adjusting this later once your account has history behind it. Moving to campaign priority, we're not going to worry about campaign priority here. This setting is only useful if you're running an advanced strategy of multiple campaigns targeting the same products. For locations, you can of course enter any region that you want this campaign to cover. Anything from countries to states to cities or even zip codes. We're going to leave it here as targeting the United States. There is one important change to make in location options as we open this up. We want this to include only presence and not presence or interest. This will firmly keep your ads within the location you're targeting. Local products is for when you also have your products in a physical store location as well. That's beyond the scope of this video, so we'll leave that turned off. Next, does your campaign have European Union political ads? This doesn't apply to you. It's for political advertisers running ads in Europe. Just select no and move on. For start and end dates, you can set the dates your campaign will be active for. I'll just leave it as is, starting today and having no end date. Next, you'll see campaign URL options. We're going to leave this for now. It's outside the scope of what we need to set up at this stage. Now, for networks, you'll see an option to include Google Search Partners. Unselect that. When you're just starting out, you want to keep your focus narrow with just Google Shoppers for now. As your account grows and you have more data, you can start looking at expanding. Okay, let's click next. For the ad group name, that's completely up to you. I'll keep the default here. Since we set manual bids earlier, Google is now asking for your default bid. This is the maximum you're willing to pay per click. Now, figuring out where to start can feel tricky, but as a general rule, we recommend starting around $3 to $4 per click. Then, after 2 days, check your data. Getting clicks? You can look at adjusting from there. Not getting anything? You may need to go a little higher. The goal when you're starting out is to get data as fast as possible. You'd rather get 10 clicks a day than 1 click a day for the next 10 days. Finally, we're at product groups. This is where you choose which products to show in this campaign. Now, I want to stop here for a second because this is important. A lot of store owners go with all products and leave it at that. And the problem with that is that Google may spend your entire budget on just a few cheap or high volume products. Your other products never get a chance to show, never collect data, and you never find out if they could have been your best sellers. So even from day one, I recommend doing some basic segmentation. You don't need data to do this. You already know your products. You know which brands or categories have better margins. You know which ones are your heroes. So let's use that. Now, all of the segmentation options you're going to see here are based on the product data coming from your Merchant Center feed. And guys, this is exactly why I keep saying optimize your feed. A well-optimized feed doesn't just help your products show up on Google Shopping. It also gives you more options and more control when you're structuring your campaigns. Okay, so here's how to think about which segmentation to use for your store. If you sell products from multiple brands, segment by brand. Let me show you with a real example. Say you're selling skincare products from multiple brands. Select brand, check off each brand, and save. Now, each brand has its own product group, and you can set different bids for each one. If you know Aveda converts better or has stronger margins, bid higher on it. This will give it more visibility, more budget, and more room to perform. For For brands you're less sure about, start with a lower bid and let the data tell you what to do next. And if you sell your own branded products, segment by product type. Product type is a field you set up for yourself in your feed. It's essentially the categories you created for your own catalog. Using the same skincare example, if everything is your own brand, your product types might be aftershave soothers, anti-aging cream, beard balms, body cleanser, and you can see the list keeps going here for the product types created for this account. Now this means that each gets its own product group. Each gets its own bid based on what you know about your margins and your best performers. And the last one is custom labels. Now this one is my favorite. Custom labels are fields you set up yourself in the product feed or directly in Merchant Center. And because you create them, you can label your products in any way that makes sense for your business. They're a fantastic way to further sort and segment your products. For example, let's say you're selling t-shirts and you know that certain colors are more in demand than others. This allows you to have a custom label for colors. By subdividing the more popular colors into their own product groups, you can make sure they get higher bids. As another example, say you've labeled in your feed which products are high margin and which are low margin. You may want to segment out the low margin products so you can bid lower on them than the rest of the products. There are limitless ways to use these custom labels for smart product segmentation. You'll need to think of the right way to do it for your own products. And by the way, we have a full video on exactly how to do that. The link is down below. Now let's quickly go through the other options you'll see here. First one is category. Google assigns this automatically based on their own category tree. And honestly, Google gets this wrong more often than you'd think. So my advice is don't use this one. It's just not reliable enough to base your bidding on. Item ID shows you every single product individually with its title next to it. You'd use this if you want to pull out one specific product and bid on it separately. Condition, new, used, or refurbished. This only matters if you're selling across multiple conditions. Channel and channel exclusivity is local for inventory ads. We're not going into these in this course, but I'll drop some links below if you want to explore it. All right, for this setup, I'm going to segment by brand. I'll click Save and then hit Next. Now, Google is showing us a full review of everything we just set up. Go through this carefully. If anything is wrong, Google will flag it here and won't let you publish until it's fixed. Once everything looks good on your end, hit Publish. That's it, your campaign is live. Okay, one last thing once your campaign is published. Go back into your campaign, click into your ad group, and look at your product groups. You'll see Google has left an Everything Else group turned on. This means your ads are still showing for your entire feed, including all the products you didn't segment. Click on it and exclude it. That way, you're only running ads on the exact products you want to target. Alright guys, that's your standard shopping campaign full setup. But you're not done yet. Standard shopping is not a set and forget campaign. It needs ongoing optimization to make sure it brings sales and profits to your store. And that's exactly what we cover in the next video. And guys, if you want a team that's taken stores from where you are now to 6 and 7 figures, with a proven system, no wasted budget, and full transparency on what's happening at every step, book a strategy call with my team. Link is down below. We'll look at your store and show you exactly how we'd scale it. In this video, you're going to learn how to optimize your Google Shopping campaigns for profit. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do after every campaign launch in the exact order. How to set up your account so you can actually see what's happening, how to manage your bidding from day one, how to stop wasting money on clicks that will never buy from you, and the exact schedule to run every day, week, and month to keep your campaigns running profitably. These are the exact strategies that my team uses to take stores to 6 and 7 figures per month with Google Shopping. Let's get into it. All right, the first thing we're doing is setting up your columns inside Google Ads. This is what your dashboard should look like when it's set up correctly. Doing this allows us to see the most important metrics for our campaigns. This makes it a lot easier to see the sales, profits, and other metrics from our campaigns and optimize them to get better and better results over time. Now let me show you what Google gives you by default. This. It's not organized in any way that makes sense for e-commerce. You're missing key metrics and the ones that are there are in the wrong order. So we're going to fix that right now. Start in your campaigns view. Go to this columns button here and click Modify Columns. This opens up all your column options. Here you see how Google has organized the available columns by their type. we'll be adding the performance columns first. We're going to organize them in a way that makes much better sense for our e-commerce goals. As you can see, some performance metrics are already added, but for our purposes, the order of the columns doesn't make sense. So let's start fresh and remove everything that's already in there. Just hit the X on each one of these to clear them out. The only one I'm leaving is campaign type. That stays as our first column. I'll explain why the order matters in a second, but now I'm going to add the columns in this exact order. Impressions, clicks, click-through rate, shown as CTR, average cost per click, CPC, then cost. And now we want to scroll down to another column type called conversions. We're going to add conversions, cost per conversion, conversion rate, conversion value, which is our sales revenue, and conversion value over cost, which is our return on ad spend. Now click Apply. Google will now keep this view for you anytime that you're looking at this account. Now let me show you why this order matters. These columns tell a story, and when you know how to read it, you can see exactly what's happening in your campaign at a glance. Your ads were seen this many times, that's impressions. And this many people clicked, that's your clicks. At this rate, that's your CTR. It costs you this much per click on average, that's your CPC. And this much in total, that's your spend. Those clicks turned into this many sales, that's conversions. And it costs you this much to get each one, that's your cost per conversion. Your visitors converted at this rate, which brought in this much revenue, and all of that resulted in this many dollars back for every dollar that you spent. That's your full campaign story right there. Once you read this, you know exactly what to fix and what to scale. Okay guys, before we go through all the strategies to optimize and scale your campaigns, I really want to set your expectations correctly. The first thing to understand is that success with Google Shopping doesn't just happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without doing the work. Optimization means regularly looking at your performance and your data, then making smart adjustments based on what you see to move things in the right direction. The way I like to explain this is that as an advertiser, you're a sculptor crafting your masterpiece. You make some changes and then you step back and look at it from a distance. Then you get back in close again and you make some more changes. And you keep doing that over time until you've built something truly great. It takes time, it takes patience, and it does require experience, but with practice and time, you're going to get better. For most store owners, the goal is to optimize and scale them to a point where they're doing well, and then bring in a professional to take it to the next level. That's what we're working towards. Now, in terms of timeline, here's a realistic picture. How long it takes to see results depends on two main things more than anything else: the conversion rate of your store and the demand for your products in the market. Usually we see that Google Ads is a long-term game that results in consistent growth over time. It's what we call a sales generating machine for our e-commerce store. A traffic source that's just ticking over every month, bringing in more and more profitable sales for our store. That's what it looks like when it's working. And it takes work to get there, which is exactly what we're teaching you here in this series. But in terms of a general timeline, here's what you can expect. It takes a few days for your first impressions and clicks to trickle through. Usually, you'll start getting conversions within the first 2 weeks at least. And usually we break even within 2 months, and often sooner than that. Then it's all about balancing profitability and sales volume through smart optimizations. Now, every account is different, but as long as you keep optimizing, you should move things in the right direction. So let's get into it, and the first thing we're going to look at is the bidding strategy. This is the actual bidding setting on your campaign. So many people get this wrong, it's insane. You need to give Google the right goal and the right direction from the start, especially when you have zero conversion data. Now, if you're not familiar with how bidding works, here's a quick explanation. Basically, Google works on a pay-per-click model. This means that Google will show your products to people searching on Google. And every time that someone clicks your ad, you get charged. Your bidding strategy is your way of telling Google how to show your products, and also how much you're going to pay per click. So we have 3 bidding strategies available for a standard shopping campaign: manual CPC, target ROAS, and maximize clicks. Let me quickly walk you through what each one means. Target ROAS is an automated bidding strategy. You tell Google your target return on ad spend, say a ROAS of 4. From there, Google adjusts your bids every time your ad is eligible to show, all in order to hit that target. It's a great strategy if your focus is profitability, but it needs conversion data to work. Google has to know who your past customers are in order to find people just like them. Maximize clicks, on the other hand, is semi-automated. And the problem with this is that Google can get you cheap clicks. But cheap clicks are not always quality clicks. It's just stuffing your budget with the cheapest clicks it can find. And that traffic may not always convert well. And that's why we don't recommend this strategy for most stores. And that brings us to manual CPC, which is what we're going to focus on today. We cover the automated bidding strategies in our advanced modules. That includes when to use them and exactly how to set them up. Alright, so if you've already watched our Google Shopping campaign setup video, you already know that we start with manual CPC. This bidding strategy is where you set your own maximum cost per click for your ads. You can do this at the campaign level, the ad group level, or the product group level. And the reason we start here, guys, is because your account has zero data. Google doesn't know your products. It doesn't know who your buyers are. So if you hand Google the wheel from day one with an automated bidding strategy, it's going to spend a lot of time trying to figure things out. And it's going to spend your money doing it. With manual CPC, you're in control of the bids. And to figure out what bids we start with, we're going to use Google Keyword Planner. This is what we recommend when you're just starting out. It's free and it's already inside your Google Ads account. So let's go through how to use it. Go to Tools, then Planning, then Keyword Planner. Click on Discover Keywords. Make sure your target country is set correctly, then add your keywords. So let's say you sell sleep masks, white noise machines, and silk pillowcases, and you've segmented each one by product type inside your campaign. Okay, so once you run it, you'll see a few metrics here. Monthly search volume, year-on-year change, competition, but what we're really looking at here is the top of page bid. This shows you the range of what advertisers have historically paid to appear at the top of the page. You'll see a low range and a high range. What we recommend is going somewhere in the middle, leaning towards the higher end. So as you can see in this example, sleep masks, top of page bid, high range is $2.91. So for this product group, I'd go with a $3 bid. White noise machines, high range is $1.39, I'll go with $1.50. Silk pillowcases, high range is $5.73, I'll bid $5 to $5.73. You can see most bids are sitting above $3. This will vary by country, but to make sure you're competitive at the auction, we generally recommend starting around $3 to $4. Now, this starting bid is just that, it's a starting point. You're going to give it time, let Google run with it, and then we're going to review it. The way to approach this is to give it 48 hours. That's when you can start making a real judgment on whether your bid is competitive enough to buy traffic. And in those first 48 hours, look at impressions. If you're getting 0 impressions or very low impressions, say under 100, your bid is too low. You're not even winning the right to be seen. So here we recommend increasing your bid up by 20% and give it another 48 hours. If you're getting good impressions but 0 clicks, your bid is fine, you're participating in the auction. The problem is your listing, your image, your price, your title. Later in this course, we go through exactly how to fix this. But remember guys, when you're just starting out with 0 data, your first goal is just buying that data. If you're sitting at 0 clicks, that's 0 data. You need at least 5 to 10 clicks a day per main product group to start learning anything. At this stage, you're paying Google to tell you which keywords trigger your products and which products people actually want to click on. You keep doing that until you have at least 30 to 50 conversions per month. That's when you move to a more automated bidding strategy. All right, now let's move to negative keywords. This is one of the core ways to optimize your Google Shopping campaigns and generate more profits from them. Adding negative keywords to your shopping campaign means telling Google what searches you don't want to show for. I'm going to talk about why you want to do that and show you how to do it. I'm also going to share with you the best way to find which negative keywords to add. First, let's talk about why we add negative keywords. When we create Google Shopping campaigns, we don't get to tell Google which keywords we want to target. Unlike a regular search campaign, which is exactly what you do. Google shows our ads based on our product feed and our product data. If Google thinks that our product is relevant to the search, it will show our ad. But Google can, and certainly will, make mistakes when matching our products to a search. And negative keywords are our tool to prevent this as much as possible. For example, let's say you're selling a basic wooden chair. You wouldn't want to show your ad for searches such as plastic, metal, or upholstered. Could you still get a sale from these searches? Maybe, but your chances are much lower. When you're just getting started with your Google Shopping campaigns, you don't want just any clicks. You want clicks from shoppers who have the highest probability of converting into a sale. We don't leave it all to Google's algorithms, because it will spend your budget on clicks that we're never going to convert. And that's exactly what negative keywords are for. So now let's walk through the process of adding negative keywords. You can add them at the account level, the campaign level, or the ad group level. I'll talk about the account level first and show you how to add negatives there. Account level negative keywords cover all the campaigns in your account. That means you want to be very careful about what you add. For example, let's say you sell guitars, but you don't sell any Gibson brand guitars. You may be tempted to put the word Gibson as a negative keyword at the account level. But really, there's going to be two issues with that. First, some people might actually be searching for best alternatives to Gibson guitars. In this case, you might have the perfect product or content for them. Second, you might later start selling Gibson guitars as you grow your store. You don't want to have to remember that one of the negatives you added was Gibson so long ago. With that warning given, there are many times when account level negatives are the way to go. Let's say you find a lot of search terms for toy guitar that are triggering your ads, or how to make your own guitar. You know that your store will never have a good probability of conversions for shoppers using those searches. So then an account level negative is perfect. Let me show you how to add it. Starting in your Google Ads account, you'll go to Admin on the left here. Then go to Account Settings. And here, for the full account, you'll see negative keywords. Simply enter your negatives, each on a new line, and click Save. Now, did you notice what I did there when I added those negatives? I added quotes around them, which turned them into phrase-matched negatives. Match types matter a lot here. They're what determine how Google decides which searches to block. There are three types of negative keyword match types: broad, phrase, and exact. Broad is where you just add the negative keyword as it is. For example, let's use red shoes. If you add red shoes as a negative broad match keyword, any query containing both leather and shoes won't trigger your ad. So if someone searches where to buy shoes that are leather online, your ad won't show. Setting your negative keyword as a broad match is simple. You just leave it as is in the box here with no special characters enclosing it. With phrase match, you wrap your negative keyword in quotation marks like running shoes. And what you're doing is you're telling Google, don't show my ad on any search that has this exact phrase in this exact order. Words can come before it, words can come after it, it doesn't matter. But if that phrase is sitting there intact in the search, the ad isn't showing. So let's say you sell tennis shoes and you don't want to show up for shoppers looking for running shoes. You add running shoes as a phrase match negative. Someone searches running shoes, Google won't show your ad because the phrase is intact. Someone searches blue running shoes, same thing, not showing. Because the phrase running shoes is still sitting there intact, even with blue in front of it. But someone searches shoes running, your ad shows up because the word order changed. And someone searching for running shoe, singular, your ad shows up because that exact phrase isn't there. That's phrase match. Now, exact match. Here, you put the keyword in square brackets, like this, running shoes. This is the most specific one out of all three. It only blocks your ad if someone searches that exact term, word for word. Nothing before it, nothing after it. So, same example, you add running shoes as an exact match negative. Someone searches running shoes, your ad doesn't show because it's a perfect match. But the second someone adds a word, like blue running shoes, your ad shows up. Because at that point, it's no longer an exact match. Someone searches running shoe, singular, your ad shows up because it's a different word. Someone searches for shoes running, your ad shows up because the order is wrong. So you're really only blocking that one specific search. Exactly what you typed, nothing more, nothing less. And that's what makes it the most precise tool that you have. We recommend using a mix of these match types. It all depends on the exact query that you're trying to stop. For example, let's say we're adding negative keywords for a product group that strictly contains white shoes. Of course, we want to make sure we don't waste money on people looking for other colors. So we'd add a broad match negative for the single word red. By adding just that one word, we instantly block any shopping query that contains red anywhere in it. Now let me show you how we actually use all three match types together and how to structure your negatives at both the campaign and the ad group level. Okay, let's say you're selling a product like this. It's got a bear with some bear prints as it's designed, and it's a welcome mat. So go into the shopping campaign that you're selling it from. Then, specifically, go into the ad group that it's in. You want to open up Insights and Reports. And if it's not already open, go to the search terms. Now, you're reviewing search terms based on that time frame that you've set up. You can see here that we've got a lot of terms that Google thought might be relevant to this product, but aren't very qualified. Again, let me clarify what I mean by qualified. I mean search terms that show a good probability that the shopper is looking for this type of product, and not something else entirely. So, the search term bear print. Certainly, this is a relevant search, but it isn't exactly what I would call qualified. We probably want the shopper to be searching for an actual mat. So we could add this as a negative keyword, either at the ad group level or the campaign level or a negative keyword list. For this negative, we're going to add it at the ad group level. And we'll keep it as the default match type that Google assigned, which in this case is an exact match negative. So I'm telling Google that when a search term is the words bear print, I don't want to bid to have my ad shown. It's simply too general of a term and it has a low probability of converting to a sale for my welcome mat. So we're going to save. And that has now been excluded at the ad group level. Now see here for bear tracks in mud. That is definitely not qualified for our product. So I'm going to click that and add it as a negative. But I'm just going to add mud as a phrase match. This is because most searches with that word are probably not product related. They're more likely about coming across bear tracks in the wild or hunting bears or something like that. Again, not relevant to our product. Shopping campaigns perform best when they target people who are actually using the product type. So in this case, someone searching for a mat or a rug. And now we see here, picture of a bear print. Well, we see these kinds of words all the time in unqualified searches for e-commerce. So I'm going to add this, but I'm going to add picture as a broad match negative. We're not selling photos or prints for a wall or illustrations. So I'm going to put picture as a broad match and hope that it takes care of variations of that word. So those are the 3 different negative match types and how to use them. Each one helping us better filter the search traffic we show our ads for. Now, I mentioned that we see words like picture all the time when reviewing the search terms for e-commerce stores. These are people researching, searching for images, looking for inspiration. They're not buying. Over the decade of managing Google Ads accounts, our team have built up a list of words that keep showing up again and again. Words that tell you pretty quickly that the person is not going to buy. For most new campaigns, we add these as phrase match negatives right away. Things like free, store near me, and a bunch of others. We'll add a link to our list of common negative keywords down below, so you can use it in your own campaign. Last, but definitely not least, optimizing your product data and your product feed. This is by far the most useful and the most forgotten strategy for optimizing your Google Shopping campaigns. This means adjusting your product attributes to match what people are actually using and searching for when buying. And it also helps to make sure that Google understands what you're actually selling. This is the foundation of a profitable Google Shopping campaign. If your product data isn't set up and optimized correctly, no campaign that you run will perform as it should. And we see this all the time when we audit accounts. Most people set this up at the start, do a mediocre job, and never look at it ever again. Don't be that person. We have a complete deep dive tutorial on how to optimize your product data inside this course. Now guys, knowing what to optimize is one thing. Knowing when to do it is another. In this last part, I'm going to show you what to optimize and when to optimize it, so you can grow your sales and your profits consistently. I'm going to give you the full checklist that my team uses every day, week, and month. The same one that we use to optimize Google Shopping campaigns for our clients. Okay, keep in mind guys, all the time periods we use in this video are going to be a guide. You should be optimizing your account when it actually needs it. These time periods that we're giving you here work for a new account with a modest budget. However, once you scale to $10,000 per day, the frequency is going to change. You're going to be optimizing a lot more, mainly because you have a lot more data to work with. First, daily checks. There are 4 things that we check every single day: Merchant Center, product statuses, billing issues, and impressions and clicks. Okay, let's go through each one in detail, starting with Merchant Center. The biggest thing we're watching for here is a suspension. If your account gets suspended, you'll see a red bar at the top of your dashboard. If you see that, don't panic. Yes, it means your shopping campaigns have stopped running, but Google suspends millions of accounts every year and most store owners resolve it. We actually fix this for you, so I'll leave some links down below to get our help, but also some resources on how to fix it. The reason we check this every day is simple. Time matters. Every day your campaigns are down is money that you're not making. The second thing we want to check is the status of our products. We're looking for any disapprovals, which are indicated by a red circle exclamation mark, or warnings, which show up as orange exclamation marks in triangles. Product disapprovals are the most critical because those products won't be eligible to run in our campaigns. Just head to the Needs Attention tab under Products to review what fixes you may need to make. Now, we have a full tutorial on fixing product disapprovals. I'll leave a link to that video down below. All right, the third thing we need to check is our Google Ads for any billing issues. Credit card failures and other billing issues happen far more often than most advertisers expect. And when they do, it's extremely disruptive to the growth of your campaigns. That's why this is a daily check, because you want to catch it fast. And so the final thing that we check, and this is whether our campaigns are getting impressions and clicks. There are plenty of things that can stop a campaign dead in its tracks. And Google won't send you a single notification about it, so you need to be the one catching it. Go to your Google Ads campaign dashboard and make sure that you're looking at impressions and clicks. You can look at the past 30 days, or you can just look at the past 7 days. You're looking for anything unusual in the graph. We also like to take a look at cost and conversions on a daily basis and see if there are any anomalies. Anything out of the order triggers us to look deeper into it and find a solution. Keep in mind there's always going to be variance in the data, but seeing an unusual break in a pattern can be an early red flag that saves your campaign and your sales. As you can see, these daily checks don't take long. They're there to make sure that nothing has gone seriously wrong in your account. Now let's look at the weekly optimizations. These are less about catching problems and more about making improvements. Some of these you actually will end up doing daily, for example, negative keyword mining, but weekly is the minimum. Here's what we do on a weekly basis. Manual CPC bidding, negative keywords, search impression share, click share. The first thing we do, especially with a new campaign, is our manual CPC bidding adjustments. Every week we go through the same process that we walk through in our bidding section. You always want to evaluate your campaign based on 2 factors. How much revenue you've generated, your sales, and how much profit. That data tells you whether your bids need adjusting. The goal is to keep things moving in the right direction week after week. Now, if your account has a low volume of clicks, 1 week of data might not be enough to make a good decision. Take your time and don't rush it. The next thing that we do is our negative keyword mining. This means that we'll be combing through our search terms report. You can find it by clicking on your campaign, going to Insights and Reports, and then Search Terms. You're looking for words and searches that have nothing to do with what you sell. These are people who are never going to buy, and every click from them is money straight out of your pocket. This is one of the most powerful ways to cut waste and grow your profits over time. Make it a weekly habit and follow it exactly the way we walked through in the negative keyword section. Okay, now let's move on to checking our search impression share. This metric shows you how much of the available search traffic you're actually showing up for. If your budget is capped and your campaign is profitable, that's your signal to increase the budget. More budget means more clicks and usually more sales. We can find this by going to our campaign dashboard. We want to add data columns by going to Modify Columns, scrolling down to Competitive Metrics, and adding in Search Impression Share, Search Lost IS by rank, and Search Lost IS by budget. Search Impression Share tells you how much of the available traffic you're actually showing up for. So if your impression share is 30%, out of every 100 searches for your products, your ad only showed up 30 times. You're missing 70% of the market. So why are you missing it? That's what the next 2 metrics tell you. Search Lost IS by rank shows you how often your ad isn't showing because your ad rank is too low. Ad rank is how Google scores your ad in every auction. It looks at your bid, the quality of your product data, and your landing page. If this number is high, something in your setup needs work. Either your bids are too low or your product data isn't strong enough for Google to trust showing it. Search Lost IS by budget This tells us how much our current budget cap may be holding us back from showing ads. The lower the percent, the better here. And lastly, click share. This is the percentage of people who click your ad when it's shown. So if it's 10%, that means every 1 out of 10 people who saw your ad clicked on it. We recommend keeping an eye on this weekly, maybe even bi-weekly, especially after you've made changes to your bidding or your product feed. You'll find it under competitive metrics in your campaign columns. So the key rule here is you want this number going up, not down. The higher it is, the more people are choosing your ad over everybody else's. Now keep in mind, in the first few weeks of your campaign, Google is still trying to figure out what your products are. So don't panic if these numbers look off early on. These metrics are based on your eligible impressions. And if Google doesn't fully understand your products yet, it doesn't know what searches you should be showing for. So the data won't be that meaningful straight away. Don't get caught up on this just yet. Wait until your campaign is running consistently. Your budget is being used up daily and you're profitable. That's when you look at these numbers and decide whether it's time to increase your budget and your scale. Okay, now let's look at what we do on a monthly basis. Product data optimizations. As we learn about how shoppers search for our products on Google, something important happens. We start to see exactly which product attributes we need to optimize and improve. This is something you need to stay hands-on with every month. It's not a set it and forget it task. So go back to the product feed optimization video we covered earlier. Work through it as you learn about how your customers are searching. Next up, product analysis audit. Every 30 to 90 days, go through all your products and identify where each one stands. You'll find that every product falls into one of 3 categories, what we call high performers, low performers, and zombies. We do this to identify 2 things: which products deserve to be pushed harder, and which ones to cut before they eat any more budget with no returns. Let's start with your high performers. These are your products with consistent sales and a healthy ROAS. Your job here is to push them harder. If you're on manual CPC, bump their bids by 10 to 15%. If you're on smart bidding, make sure they're not being held back by a daily budget that's too small. To check this, go into your shopping campaign and click on Products. This shows you the performance of each product separately. For the time period, check the last 30 days, but we recommend waiting until you have 90 days of data. That way, you know the products have had enough traffic to actually judge them properly. What you're looking for is the product cost, conversions, cost per conversion, and conversion value over cost. Let's take this example. This product is priced at £105. In the last 30 days, it got 8 conversions, a cost per conversion of £9.18, 144 clicks, and a ROAS of 10.20. That means for every £1 spent on Google Ads, Google gave back £10.20 in revenue. That's a strong product. It's growing, it's profitable, and it has real potential to become a bestseller. Same goes for the one below it. Now, let's stop here. This product is £100, got 1 conversion in the last 30 days, cost £181.50 to run, a CPA of $112.57, 351 clicks, and a ROAS of 0.86. This means for every £1 spent, Google only gave it back 86 pence in revenue. So basically, it's losing money. Now, before you exclude a product like this, make sure that you've already gone back to your product page and fix it following best practices. We cover that step in our advanced module. The link for that is down below. If you've done that and it's still performing like this, that's a low performer that needs to be excluded. If a product has had 50 to 100 clicks over 90 days with no sales, or very low sales and a very high CPA, exclude it. It's eating your budget and giving you nothing back. That money shifts automatically toward your winners. Now, how you exclude it depends on how you segment your products. If you segment them by item ID, go into the product and exclude it directly. If you segment by brand, product type, or custom label, go back to your product group and click the plus icon next to it. Then subdivide by item ID and exclude the specific product from there. Okay, back to the example we checked earlier. If we scroll down, you can see products with 0 impressions. These are what we call zombie products. Google is basically just completely ignoring them. Now, don't write them off just yet. They might be great products that Google just hasn't given a real chance. What you do is you take them out of the original campaign and put them into their own separate campaign. They'll have their own budget that forces Google to actually show them. We've done this exact strategy for so many client accounts, store owners who are about to exclude these products completely, and we've seen them get really good results. Not the same as your best sellers, but extra revenue that just wasn't there before. Alright guys, let's now talk about what we do quarterly. This is where we zoom out and look at the bigger picture. We step back from the day-to-day and look at things that require a bit more data. The kind of improvements that you can only really see over a bigger period of time. This is where we play around with different time periods and metrics. We're looking for any trends or seasonality patterns that stand out. We'll also take this data into account with the time of year and also look at our Google Analytics data. We'll look for any trends or changes in things like bounce rates, conversion rates, among others. You never want to just focus your optimizations in your Google Ads account. Your website should never be considered finished. You should always be testing, optimizing, and improving it to increase your conversion rate over time. And finally, this is when we think about what's next. Are there any new campaigns worth launching to scale further? Things like PMax or brand search? We go deeper on all of that in our advanced modules in this course. So once your standard shopping campaign is running profitably, that's where you head next. All right, guys, that's exactly what we optimize and when we optimize it in our shopping campaigns. Doing this regularly for your campaigns is going to really help you generate more sales and more profits every month. I'm going to leave a link to all the resources that we mentioned down below in the description. And if you want my team to help you scale your store to over 6 or 7 figures per month, with a proven system, no wasted budget, and clear transparency on what we're doing every month, book a strategy call with my team. I'll leave a link down below. We're going to look at your store and we'll show you exactly what we're going to do to scale it. In this video, you're going to learn what to do if your Google Shopping campaign isn't getting any impressions or clicks. You've spent all this time getting your Google Shopping campaign set up and you're seeing this. 0 clicks, 0 impressions. Don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly what to do when this happens so you can get your shopping campaigns working again, generating sales and generating profits for your e-commerce store. Let's get into it. Okay, so your campaign has no impressions and therefore no clicks. Here's what we'll look at fixing in order. First, how long has it been since you published your campaign? Make sure it's at least 24 hours. It takes time after you launch your campaign for Google to index your feed and to start showing it to people. If you want to speed things up, you can try increasing your bids to $1.50 to $3 per click. You will spend a bit more money than you need to, but it will speed things up. After 2 to 3 days, check to see if you're at least getting impressions. If still no impressions after the next 3 days, proceed to the next fixes. Next, let's double check that your campaign is live. You can check if this little icon here is green, or if you want to be extra sure, you can click this cog icon. Here, you can view the campaign settings and look to see if the campaign status is enabled. Additionally, you can look into the ad groups to also see if the ad groups are enabled. The next thing we want to check if there are any issues with your billing or your account status. You would see a big red banner at the top of your Google Ads account if there is an issue. It should include a link to a guide that shows you how to fix the issue. The most frequent reason we see for issues in the account like this is if your credit card has insufficient funds. Google immediately halts your account activity when this happens. I strongly recommend setting up a secondary credit card in your account to prevent this from happening in the future. Next, make sure that your Google Merchant Center Next account is connected to your Google Ads account. If you've been through our free Google Shopping course, you should have done this anyway, but it's worth a look here. I'll show you how to check this right now. Starting in your Google Ads dashboard, go to Tools and then to Data Manager. And here you should see the connected products. Your Google Merchant Center account should be listed here and showing as linked. Even if it is, click it and see if the Merchant Center account ID shown here matches the same ID of your Merchant Center account. If you see any problems here, go set up the link again. We have a clear and simple walkthrough on how to link your Google Merchant Center Next account to your Google Ads account. I'll leave a link to that tutorial down below. The next thing we want to check that there are no issues in our Google Merchant Center Next account. Open up your account and look for any issues that present at the top of the dashboard. It should look something like this. You'll have to go and fix these issues before you can get your shopping campaigns running. If there's a Google Merchant Center suspension, we have some videos on how to fix this. I'll leave a link down below. We actually also do this for our clients with a full guarantee. You can get in touch with us on our website. Also, check if you have any product disapprovals. You'll find these under the Products, Needs Attention tab, and then scrolling down. If a product is disapproved, it won't show in your Google Shopping campaign. So if all your products are disapproved, you won't get any impressions. This is because no products are eligible to show. Go through and fix all of these product disapprovals. We have a full video on how to do this. I'll leave a link to that down below. The next thing that you need to check are your Google Shopping campaign settings. You'll have set these up when you created your campaign, but if you didn't do it properly, it could cause your shopping campaign to not show. A common example is your location targeting. If you set your targeting to a tiny town in the middle of nowhere, then there's a clear reason why you won't get any impressions. There's just not many people there searching. Now go through and check these campaign settings and do it while you go through our campaign setup video. We have a full video on how to set up your Google Shopping campaigns, all the campaign settings. I'll leave a link to that down below. The next thing to check is your bidding. If you set your manual bids way too low, then you won't get an ad rank high enough to show or get any impressions. Usually I set my bid for new campaigns at about $1. Or if you're using an automated bidding strategy like target ROAS, your goal may be a bit too ambitious for the algorithm. It wants to hit your goal, but without history in the account, Google doesn't know how to hit it. I recommend reducing your target ROAS to be a bit more reasonable or switch to a manual bidding strategy. If you increase your bids with manual bidding, it's going to tell Google to be a bit more aggressive with showing your products. This is going to show your ads for higher positions and result in more clicks. Yes, it means paying more for these clicks at the start, but you'll get data from this and ideally conversions, which is going to feed the algorithm, which is going to be better for you in the long run. Next, make sure that you don't have any unnecessary negative keywords. You use negative keywords to tell Google not to show your ads for certain search queries. Now, where this can go wrong is that you may add a negative keyword accidentally that actually stops you from getting relevant traffic. This can restrict your campaigns and stop you from getting impressions or enough clicks. At the start, I don't recommend adding many negative keywords. Just let Google show your products on its network and get some initial data. This, of course, is only if you've already optimized your product feed, which you should have already done. If not, check out our full tutorial on how to optimize your product data and your product feed. I'll leave a link to that down below. If you do have negative keywords at the campaign level, they could be stopping you from getting impressions. I suggest removing them and seeing if that improves the impressions. Next, we want to remove any bidding adjustments. Bidding adjustments are edits that you make to your bids based on things like time of day, location, and demographic information. Now, we have a full video on how to use these for a Google Shopping campaign to optimize and get more profits, but when you're starting your campaign, I don't recommend you use them. It's too early to optimize and restrict the potential clicks, so take them off. You'll find these under Audiences, Keywords, and Content section on the left-hand menu. Make sure you don't have anything in these settings to avoid any restrictions. Lastly, if you're still not getting any impressions after a week, I recommend starting a new campaign from scratch. There may be some sort of adjustment or setting that is restricting your campaigns, and it might just be better to just start from scratch and follow our tutorial on setting up your shopping campaign settings. Now, I'll leave a link to that down below. Go and check it out. Follow it as you create your new campaign. Okay, that's everything to check if you're not getting impressions. What if you're getting impressions, but you're just not getting clicks? The fact that you're getting impressions shows that your product feed is working and it is connected into Google Ads, but it just means that you're not showing enough to get enough clicks. Basically, you just need to make sure that nothing is restricting your ads for showing for their full potential and make sure that you're bidding high enough to get a high enough ad rank to get enough clicks. Just like with impressions, it takes time for Google to figure out what your products are and who to show them to in order to build up the amount of clicks. At the same time, we can encourage the algorithm by increasing our bids, which is going to increase our ad rank, show for higher up on the Google Shopping page, and get more clicks. For now, just keep in mind that if you have a low number of impressions, that's okay. Just keep building them up. You can't expect to have a high number of clicks if you still have a low number of impressions. So focus on the impressions first and then the clicks. Next thing we want to do is make sure that our product data and our product feed is optimized. Optimizing your product data in your product feed in Google Merchant Center Next is one of the most important things for optimizing and scaling your Google Shopping campaigns. It's also one of the most forgotten. If you don't optimize your product data, then it's a lot harder for Google to know what you're actually selling and to show it to the right people. This means it's going to take a lot longer for Google to build up the data, the clicks, the impressions, and to know who else to show your products to. If your product data and your product feed isn't optimized, or you don't know if it is or not, go and check out our full tutorial on how to optimize your product feed and your product data in your Google Merchant Center account. I'll leave a link to that tutorial down below. The next thing that drives clicks to your campaign is your ad rank. There's a lot to go into here, but the best thing you can do is watch our video on how Google Shopping works. It goes deep into the algorithm and ad ranking and why bids drive impressions and clicks for your campaign. Go into your campaign settings right now and check what bidding strategy you've selected. If you select anything except for manual CPC, it is going to take longer for you to get impressions and clicks when you start your campaign. This is because the other strategies are automated strategies, meaning Google will use its data to plan who to show your ads to. If it's a new campaign with 0 clicks, Google doesn't really know who to show your products to. So it's going to start showing products to a more general group of people that may be less interested in your products. Do yourself a favor, start with manual bidding, get to 50 to 100 conversions per month, and then consider swapping over to a target ROAS bidding strategy. Once you've confirmed that you're using a manual bidding strategy, then check if you're bidding high enough. Just like with getting impressions, I'll set my bids for around $1, maybe up to $2 depending on the industry. I'll then let it run for a few days and see how many impressions and clicks I get. If I'm still not getting clicks after 3 to 7 days, I'll then increase my bids further. You're basically giving a kick to Google to show your products to more people, getting you more clicks and more data. Keep in mind that you can always reduce your bids later once you're getting more clicks and more sales. Next, I want to talk about audience targeting. This is a rare mistake, but it can happen. In your campaign dashboard, under Audiences, Keywords, and Content, go to your audience section and look at your audiences. You'll see here under targeting settings, it should be set to observation. If it's set to targeting, then you'll need to click Edit Audience Segments and change it from targeting to observation. Targeting is where you tell Google to only show for this audience. This might be a useful setting when you're remarketing to a specific list or you just want to target a specific demographic. For new campaigns and for most e-commerce stores, you don't want to do this on your first campaign. You want your campaign to have the freedom to show for everybody as long as you've optimized your product data and your product feed. So make sure there's nothing in this section that could severely limit your campaign and the clicks you're going to get. That's it, guys. That's what we do when we're not getting impressions or clicks on our Google Shopping campaigns. Now, if you're getting clicks but you're not getting enough sales, go and check out our other video on what to do if you're not getting sales in your Google Shopping campaign. In this video, you're going to learn what to do if your Google Shopping campaigns are not getting enough sales. You've spent all this time trying to set up and optimize your Google Shopping campaigns, but they're just not getting enough sales. I'm going to go over the 3 main reasons why this can happen. Let's get into it. The first reason why you might not be getting enough sales with your Google Shopping campaigns might be because you're getting low quality traffic. This is when visitors are getting to your store, but they're either leaving straight away or they're just not making a purchase. If you think this is happening, first, check how many visitors you're getting. If it's less than 500, then that's not enough data to panic about yet. Focus on getting more clicks, more traffic before you go through the rest of this lesson. Now, if you are getting a lot of clicks but still no conversions, the first thing you want to check is the quality of your traffic. For example, if you're selling basketballs, then you want to check your search terms report to make sure that people are searching for relevant searches such as buy basketballs online. If you check your search terms report and it's filled with things like basketball tickets, then no wonder you're not getting sales. The traffic quality is low. These aren't the search terms of people looking to buy your product. So how and why did this happen? Sometimes, especially for new campaigns, Google gets it wrong. You see, you don't get to choose which keywords or search queries your Google Shopping campaigns show for. Google looks at your product data in your product feed to try to figure out what you're selling. Then they show their products to a lot of different people and watch how those people behave by clicking or converting on your ads. Sometimes this process takes time for Google to figure out who to show your products to. Our job is to guide the algorithm and that traffic to help Google do this as quickly as possible. Okay, so how do you check if you're getting high quality traffic or not? Check the search terms report of your Google Shopping campaign. You'll find it under Insights and Reports on the left menu in Google Ads. Make sure that you set the date range to a significant amount of time. Then review these search queries for any search queries that aren't relevant to the products that you're selling. Often you'll find words here that you'll want to add as negative keywords. This will prevent our ads from showing for these searches. Now, another reason for not getting sales in your Google Shopping campaign is when people are just not adding your products to their cart. You do this by looking at how many people add your products to their cart and their add to cart ratio. It differs depending on the store, but usually we see this in the 3 to 10% range. How do you view your own add to cart rate? In Shopify, go to your online store conversion over time report. It will show you the total number of online sessions for your store for any time frame and the number of sessions where that shopper added a product to cart. Simply divide the add to cart sessions by the total sessions to get your add to cart rate. If you're getting less than 3 to 5%, then you have a lot to improve on your product page. Here are the common things that we see in this case. Number one, most easy, your add to cart button isn't working. Make sure that your products aren't set to out of stock. Make sure that people can actually click the button to add to cart. There may be a variety of design issues that are preventing people from adding to cart, such as a design issue, geographic restrictions, or any other technical problem. This is why it's so important to always do a test purchase on your store before launching. You should do this both on desktop and on a mobile device to make sure it's working well for both. Next, assuming that there are no technical issues, you need to make sure that your product page is optimized. You should be constantly testing and improving your product page to make sure that you're converting more of your customers. This means having a store that not only looks great, but actually solves the problem of your searches. This ends up building more trust with your customers. Here is another common problem that I see with beginner store owners. They spend all their time trying to optimize their Google Ads account when their actual website and product pages are substandard. A basic page with just a basic image, a small title, and barely any description. Compare that to a product page like this. A product page that is engaging and clearly demonstrates how amazing this product is. This explodes off the page with social proof and clearly walks through the benefits and features of this product. This type of page is called a long-form product page. They convert way higher than just a regular standard basic product page. We see our clients getting conversion rates within the 3 to 10% range when we set this up for them. Imagine increasing your conversion rate from 1 to 3%. You're now converting 3 times as many customers for the same cost because obviously you don't actually have to increase the cost of your Google Ads. You're using the same traffic as before. Doing this properly is like rocket fuel for your e-commerce store and helps you scale like crazy. You can have the best product pages in the world, but if your product is low quality, it's going to be hard to convert customers. The common mistakes I see people making are pricing their product way too high without showing the value of the product. Low quality images for a low quality product. If a customer can go over to one of your competitors and see a better quality product page, better quality products, why would they buy from you? They might even be happy to pay more to your competitors just because they know they're getting a better product. Of course, this is all about perceived value. At the same time, don't lie or misrepresent the quality of your products. The next mistake I see people making is trying to sell a product that people don't actually want. Make sure that the features and benefits on your product page are actually what people want. Your customers are going to be unique, and this is where market research comes in. You need to understand your customers so well that when they see the product page, they feel that it's created just for them. It speaks directly to their needs and their wants for this product. This makes their decision to buy so easy because their perception of the value it provides them far outweighs the cost it takes from their wallet. Improving your conversion rate is a long and consistent process. First, focus on the number of people adding your products to their cart. Then you can focus on how many people complete their checkout without abandoning. Now let's say that you're getting a lot of people adding to cart, but not many are actually going through the checkout. This could be caused by a number of issues. Let's go through them now. Cart not working. This is the most common cause and the easiest to fix for not getting enough checkouts. Check that you can actually order from your store. Go into your store and put through a fake transaction to check that it works. An easy trick to do this is to create a 100% off promo code. Then try to complete the checkout for your store to make sure it's working properly. Maybe you forgot to connect PayPal or check some sort of setting in Shopify. This basic troubleshooting can save you a ton of headaches. Shipping price. The next big thing we see lack of cart completions and checkouts is the shipping price. Honestly, most customers expect free shipping for orders. I honestly believe that if you're not providing free shipping, you're doing your customers a big disservice. We've seen countless clients of ours that have implemented free shipping and the increase in conversion rate outweighed the extra cost in the shipping to them. At the same time, you can increase your prices to cover this cost of shipping. At the end of the day, most customers prefer to have shipping included in the final price. They don't like being hit with an additional price later on when they've already committed to the initial prices of their products. Try free shipping and see how it goes for your store and your conversion rate. Unexpected costs. Other causes of abandoned carts can be unexpected costs. These can be things like taxes or currency conversion fees. Of course, we've already talked about shipping costs, but check to see if your cart's being abandoned because of these other costs. Of course, some things like taxes can't necessarily be avoided. However, just take a look so that you're aware of what could be causing the drop-off. Prices too high. While a customer may be willing to purchase after they've seen your product page, it's not fully locked in until they pull out their credit card and pay. For some customers, having to pull out their credit card suddenly means the pricing feels real. They then realize that the value equation isn't tilted in their favor. Maybe the perceived value of the product is teetering on whether it's worth it or not for that customer. And that extra effort to finish the checkout pushes them away and they don't want to purchase. Consider the pricing and your value proposition compared to competitors. Do this to make sure that your product and your brand is extremely competitive. You want your customers to see your product page and say, heck yes, before purchasing. Checkout not trustworthy. If you're using a different platform, some of these platforms look kind of dodgy. They look like they're just going to take your credit card and send it off to who knows where and sell it on the black market. You need to make sure that your checkout makes customers feel comfortable giving out their personal details and their credit card details. I personally recommend all my clients use Shopify. It's easy to use and it builds trust. If you're using another platform like WooCommerce or something else, I recommend getting a second opinion about the trustworthiness of your checkout. Things to specifically check: spelling or grammatical mistakes. You shouldn't have this anywhere on your store, especially not your checkout. Design inconsistencies like images not loading or inconsistent fonts. Also check for unprofessional color design palettes. These should all be avoided. If you're not aesthetically minded, get a second opinion, someone else to check over your cart and your checkout to make sure it all looks good. Next, device and page size differences. Your checkout should look great on all page sizes and all devices. If you change the page size and your checkout breaks, it really doesn't inspire confidence. Next, check if your traffic sources are majority mobile. Keep in mind that the traffic you're sending through your cart and your checkout is going to have an impact on your conversion rate. For example, say that your ads were just targeting people in the research phase of their buying journey. Maybe one of your customers sees one of your ads while they're on the treadmill at the gym. They love the product, they add it to cart, but they realize they left their wallet in the gym locker. So, of course, they're not able to purchase right now, so they try to remember for later. Of course, people forget. And this is why an abandoned cart email notification system comes in well. If someone doesn't complete their cart, you can still send them an email if they've put in their email address. You can use remarketing ads to remind them to go back and finish their purchase. Klaviyo integrates well with Shopify to allow you to send these automated emails when someone abandons their cart. You can also add abandoned cart users to your remarketing campaigns on Google and Facebook. This way you can send them ads about the products that they left in their cart when they abandoned to get them to come back and actually purchase. You can also even send them SMS reminders as well about those products and get them back to the cart, back to the checkout and purchase. That's it, guys. That's what to do if your Google Shopping campaigns are getting clicks and impressions but aren't getting sales. In this video, you're going to learn what to do when your Google Shopping campaigns aren't profitable. If you've spent all this time and energy setting up your Google Shopping campaigns, but they're not making enough profits, this is the video for you. We're going to cover the 3 main areas that ruin profits for your Google Shopping campaign and how to fix them. 1, problems in your Google Ads account. 2, problems on your product page. And 3, issues with your business economics. Let's get into the video. Okay, the first thing we need to do is confirm for you and your store what is profitable and what is not. We have a full tutorial on how to calculate your break-even ROAS and your profitability for your e-commerce store. Go and watch that video, calculate your break-even ROAS, and then come back to this one. I'll leave a link to that video down below. Now that we know what our break-even ROAS is, we need to cap our campaign budgets. We like to set our campaign budgets to $50 or $100 max and keep them there until the campaigns are profitable. This is the first thing that you can do to stop the bleeding. If you're spending more than $50 to $100 per day on your shopping campaign, reduce the budgets down, stop the bleeding. Next thing we want to do is strategically lower our bids. When a campaign isn't profitable, especially at the beginning, we like to focus on manual bidding. We'll do this down to the product level. We'll adjust our bids in our Google Shopping campaign based on how profitable each product is. For example, let's say that we have an average CPC of our product of $1.50. However, it's generating a ROAS below our break-even ROAS. In that case, we'll reduce our bids and watch how it performs. We'll do this until the average ROAS increases above our break-even ROAS point. Of course, this is going to reduce the volume of clicks and therefore the volume of sales for this product. However, this can turn a product that's actually losing money profit-wise into one that is profitable even if it has a lower volume of total sales. The next thing we want to do is make sure that we're adding negative keywords. Adding negative keywords helps tell Google what search queries are not relevant for our products and our store. This is so that we can avoid paying for those clicks in the future because we know that they're not profitable. Over time, as we add more and more negative keywords, our campaigns become more and more profitable. We then have a campaign that spends money only on the most valuable clicks, which means more sales and more profits. Now, you also want to be improving your product data in your product feed. This is huge. Google doesn't use keywords to find out who to show your products to. Google looks at your product data in your product feed and starts showing it to people it thinks could buy your products. It then watches who views your product, clicks, and then purchases to build up an audience of who to show your product to next. If you haven't optimized the product data in your product feed, you're really hurting yourself. You're not giving Google a nice head start in figuring out what your products are. It's trying to guess and just show to random people, which is going to cost you more money and reduce your profits. Lastly, for Google Ads, adding bidding adjustments. This is one of the last things you should do to improve profitability, but it's still worthwhile. Bidding adjustments are where you tell Google to bid differently for different searches based on time of day or location or demographics. It allows you to be much more granular with your bidding. But honestly, you should really focus on the other strategies before you focus on this one. Too many people rush into doing this far too early without having enough data or statistically significant data to make these decisions properly. You should really spend your time and effort focused on the regular bidding and then the product data and product feed optimizations. They're the main things that you should check in your Google Ads account. But even with an extremely optimized Google Ads account, it means nothing if your website doesn't convert. Let's look at that now. The conversion rate of your website makes all the difference. You're already paying for that traffic on Google Shopping. If you can convert more of that traffic without increasing your ad costs, you're going to make more sales and more profits. It's simple math. You should be constantly testing and improving your product pages and your store to convert more and more customers. This means having a store that looks fantastic, builds trust, and actually solves a problem for your customers. Here's a common problem that I see with e-commerce store owners. They spend all their time trying to optimize the Google Ads account when their product page looks like this. A basic page with a low quality image, a title, a basic description, and the price. Compare that to a product page like this. A product page that is engaging and clearly demonstrates how amazing this product is. This explodes off the page with social proof and walks through all the benefits and features of the product. This type of page is called a long form product page. They convert way more than just a simple product listing page. When we implement these for our clients, we see conversion rates going to 3 to 10%. It's insane. Imagine increasing your conversion rate from 1 to 3%. You're now converting 3 times as many of your customers at the same ad cost. It's going to definitely increase your profits for your e-commerce store. Lastly, we have your business economics. Yes, you can have an optimized Google Ads account. And yes, you can have an optimized website and product page. However, if you don't have a solid business model, the business economics for your e-commerce store, it's going to be really hard to scale and generate more profits. Let's start with the lack of margins. Your profitability depends on how much you're selling your products for and how much you pay your suppliers and the rest of your expenses. Let's say that you sell your products for $50, but you end up paying $45 to your suppliers and expenses. This means you only have $5 in potential profits available that you need to spend to acquire your customers on Google Ads. That's almost doomed to fail. Let's break down the math. Let's say you have a really good conversion rate of 3%. That means for every 33 clicks, you're going to get a conversion. Well, with only $5 that we can spend to acquire a customer, that means 5 divided by 33 means we can only spend 15 cents per click. And that's just to break even. Now, if you've run any Google Shopping campaigns before, you'll know that 15 cents per click is a pipe dream. This is unless you're in a very unique geographical area with very minimal competition. However, if you increase your average order value to $100 and keep your expenses down to $60, you now have $40 to acquire that customer. With that same conversion rate of 3%, you can now spend up to $1.21 per click, which is much more reasonable than 15 cents per click. So what did we learn here? Try to increase your margins by having higher prices and lower costs. This way you can have more profits available to spend on your marketing and acquiring your customers. Now, how can you decrease your expenses? Well, you can negotiate with suppliers and cut unnecessary expenses. Also systemize and improve your operations with automation. And how can you increase your prices? Now, it's easy to do in practice, but you're going to need to watch this and use the data frequently. Because often when you increase your prices, it has a negative effect on your conversion rate. The key here is to test while also being focused on increasing the perceived value of your product. If you can show that your products are a better experience and better value than your competitors, you're able to charge more. This goes hand in hand with improving your conversion rate. I recommend testing out small changes in your pricing and seeing if the market reacts. Now, I want to say one last thing about this business economics section. For many stores that I've worked with, they haven't been profitable when they're trying to generate profits from the first purchase of each customer. They would get their Google Shopping traffic, generate sales, but break even or maybe even at a loss. But we then focused on getting repeat purchases through remarketing and email campaigns, which means the customer lifetime value for each customer was way above break even. Yes, they lost money on the front end purchase, but they made it back because they were getting these customers back to purchase more products after that initial purchase. These repeat purchases have a marginal add-on cost, but they have significant added revenue. This means we're able to generate higher profits. This is called focusing on customer lifetime value. If you're building a brand and a long-term store, focus on your customer lifetime value, and this is going to make the biggest difference to your profits in the long run. If you know that in the next 3 to 6 months, you're going to make more money from these repeat purchases, you're able to invest more into your Google Shopping campaigns, get more customers now because you know it's going to pay off down the track. And the stores that really win online are those that can spend the most to acquire a customer. Okay guys, so that's how we make our Google Shopping campaigns profitable. So you log into your Google Merchant Center and there it is. That big red banner. Fix all setup and policy issues that prevent your products from showing on Google. That's Google's way of telling you that your account is suspended and your shopping ads have stopped. Now, before you do anything, and I mean anything, there are 2 things that you need to understand first. Number 1, do not delete your Merchant Center account and create a new one. Google explicitly states that deleting your account does not fix the suspension. Your new account will get suspended for the same reason. You'll lose your account history and be right back to where you started. Number 2, don't start hitting the review button hoping that Google will approve you. You don't have unlimited attempts. Google gives you a limited number of reviews per account. Seriously guys, you wouldn't believe how many store owners come to us after this happens. And at that point, there's nothing that anyone can do, not even us. Now, here's something that most store owners don't realize about misrepresentation suspensions specifically. It's almost never one single thing that caused it. Google uses what I call a risk meter. When they look at your account, they're essentially grading your entire setup. Your store, your policies, your product data, your GMC settings, everything. Each thing that's off adds up to your risk score. And when that score gets too high, Google suspends you. This is also why you might be thinking, but Sam, my competitor does the exact same thing as me and they're not suspended. It's because Google uses this risk meter and everything adds up differently for each account. What one clean account gets away with could get another suspended. So the fix isn't finding the one thing. I'm going to walk you through the complete checklist, everything that Google looks at for a misrepresentation suspension, and then I'm going to show you the right way to request a review so you're not burning review attempts on an account that just isn't ready for it. I'll also leave a link to the full checklist down below in the description so you can follow along. Let's go. Before we go through the checklist, it helps to understand what Google is actually looking for. Because once you understand their goal, every item on this checklist makes sense. Google is not suspending you because they think you're trying to scam people. Their main goal is to protect shoppers from anything that feels sketchy, unclear, or misleading. If something about your store makes a shopper feel uncertain, Google will flag it. This includes things like your policies, your contact info, or your product claims. Specifically, they're checking 3 things. Your website and landing pages, do they look legitimate and clear? Your product listings and feed, do they match reality? Your business information, policies, and branding, is everything consistent and easy to find? If anything seems incomplete, inconsistent, or doesn't build trust, Google pauses your account until it's fixed. Before we go any further, there's an important category of stores we need to address. Not every misrepresentation suspension can be fixed. If your store sells prohibited products, no amount of changes to your website or policies will get your account reinstated. That includes weapons, counterfeit goods, tobacco, dangerous supplements, or anything else on Google's shopping ads prohibited content list. The same applies if your store makes medical or health claims. If your store makes claims like these, Google will keep you suspended unless you do one of 2 things. Remove the claim entirely or provide strong, verifiable proof. medical documentation, research, certifications that actually back up what you're saying. I'll leave a link to Google's full shopping ads policies guide in the description. Go through that list before you spend hours fixing everything else. So check your products and your claims first. If you fall into this category and you don't address it, you're just going to stay suspended. This is one of the first things we check when a store owner comes to us before we touch anything else on the account to get it fixed. All right, let's go through the full checklist. And I want to be clear about something before we actually start here, guys. So you need to follow every single step before you request a review. Partial fixes don't cut it. They could even delay things further because Google's just going to look at the whole picture, not individual items. Okay guys, let's start inside your Google Merchant Center account, beginning with your business information. You need to make sure that everything here is accurate and consistent. And when I say consistent, I mean it needs to match across every place your business exists online. This means your social media, your Google business profile, and any directory websites. Any inconsistency is a flag to Google, and we see this constantly when we audit accounts that come to us for help. Their store looks fine on the surface, but the business information doesn't match across Merchant Center, Google Ads, and the business profile. And then they get suspended because Google interprets it as if their store is providing misleading information about who they actually are. Here specifically, make sure you guys have this: a physical address that is correct and real, a real phone number, one that someone from Google could actually call and reach your business, a company branded email address. So if your store is coolcandles.com, your email should be hello@coolcandles.com, not coolcandles@gmail.com. And make sure that you're using a proper custom domain, not a myshopify.com subdomain. Also, make sure that your website is claimed and verified inside Merchant Center. Next, let's look at your shipping settings. This one's really important. Make sure that your shipping settings in GMC match your website's shipping page. And they must also match what actually happens when someone goes and checks out through your store. All three need to be consistent. Now let's look at your actual website, guys. So when we fix suspensions for our clients, there's almost always something on the website contributing to this suspension. It's usually not just the Merchant Center account that's the problem. So start by running your site through Google Page Speed Insights. I'm going to leave a link in the description to this tool. Don't just check your homepage, run it through your product pages and checkout too. From there, do a basic quality audit. Look for broken links, spelling or grammatical errors, and placeholder text. If you still have lorem ipsum anywhere on your site, that's a problem. Make sure that you're using custom imagery. If you're selling products that 10 other stores are also selling with the exact same supplier images, that's a risk factor. Google isn't fond of stores that look identical to dozens of others. And if you can get reviews on your store, do it. It signals to Google that real people have bought from you, and that matters for trust. Then go through every app and plugin installed. Only keep what you actually need, and for the ones you're keeping, check the reviews. We've seen cases where an app was flagged because Google didn't like its code. And we've seen upsell apps cause checkout issues that lead to suspensions. Make sure that everything is installed and functioning properly for every customer. The contact page is one of the strongest trust signals for Google. Yet most stores don't include enough of it. At minimum, it needs a branded email address, not Gmail. It should also include a phone number, a physical business address, and a contact form. But go further than that. Add your business hours, something like our support team is available Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And include your estimated response time, something like we usually reply within 24 hours. That kind of specificity builds trust with both Google and your customers. And whatever you put on that page, make sure it's consistent across your Merchant Center, your Google Ads account, and your Google business profile. Any mismatch across those three is a flag. While you're auditing your site, check that your SSL certificate is installed and working. It's basic, but we've seen it overlooked. Next, your About Us page. Shoppers and Google both want to know who's behind the store. Share your mission, a bit about your background, and if you can, add photos of your team. Real people behind a real store are a trust signal that's hard to fake, and Google knows that. Finally, make sure you have both a terms and conditions page and a privacy policy page. They need to be unique to your store, not copied from another store with their brand name still in it. Your privacy policy specifically needs to explain how your users' browsing data may be used. Once all of these pages are in place, Link them in your footer and make sure they're visible during checkout. And if you're not sure where to start with these policy pages, I put free templates in the description below. Privacy policy, terms and conditions, and a few others. They're not copy and paste and done. You still need to customize them for your store, but they give you a really solid starting point. All right, let's now move to your store's policies, starting with your returns and refund policy. And this policy is critical. Google wants to know exactly what a customer can do if something goes wrong. If your policy is vague, it creates a trust problem. The policy needs to be specific. Cover every scenario a customer might face. Change of mind, faulty item, damaged product, wrong item, something that never arrived, or a cancellation after ordering. For each one, spell out the process. Do they email you, call you, fill out a form? And give clear timeframes. How long do they have to make a return? How long until they receive the refund? And what form does that refund take? Back to the original payment method or store credit? The more clearly you answer those questions up front, the less friction there is for the customer, and the more confidence Google has in your store. One thing we see stores miss when we audit them, make sure the language of your policy matches the language of your target market. If you're selling to French customers, your policy should be in French. Once it's done, link it on your product pages and in your footer. Your shipping policy follows the same logic. It needs to match your GMC shipping settings and your actual process. Spell out the cost for each location you ship to, the delivery timeframe, the courier or postal service you use, and how customers can track their order. Also add a section for what happens if part of an order is missing. Then link it in your footer and on your product pages. And guys, as a general rule across all your policies, make sure they're linked clearly in your footer and visible throughout your website, including on the checkout page. Now let's talk about your product pages. First, no false or misleading claims. Don't make claims about your products that aren't backed up by evidence. No bold health claims, no fake certifications, no trust badges without real affiliation behind them. Google reviews this, and it's a fast path to a suspension. The same goes for fake urgency. If you have countdown timers that reset or only a few left messages that aren't actually true, remove them. Google considers that misleading, and so do your customers. Next, your product feed in Merchant Center needs to match your product pages exactly. Titles, prices, images, availability, all of it needs to line up. Make sure your product condition is accurate, and make sure the price in your feed matches what actually shows up at checkout. Any discrepancy here is a red flag. And if you're dropshipping, be upfront about it. Let customers know what the delivery times are and who is fulfilling the orders. Trying to hide that tends to create more problems than it solves. Finally, ensure your branding is consistent everywhere. That means your store name, logo, and email address all match across your site and your Merchant Center account. For your checkout process, the best thing you can do is go through it as if you're a customer. Check each step yourself to make sure everything works correctly. Your legal page links, returns, shipping, privacy policy, terms and conditions need to be visible throughout the entire checkout process, not just in your footer. Your contact information should be there too. We recommend showing all three: physical address, email, and phone number. You need at least two. Make sure you're offering multiple payment methods. They should be displayed in your footer so customers can see them before they get to checkout. Your shipping costs at checkout need to match what's on your shipping page and in your GMC shipping settings. If those numbers don't align, that's a flag. If you have any promotions set up in Merchant Center, actually test them. Make sure they're applying correctly at checkout. We've seen stores get flagged because a promotion was live in Merchant Center but broken on the website. And make sure that your SSL certificate is active throughout the entire checkout process, not just on your homepage, through to the final confirmation page. Guys, the checkout is one of the most overlooked areas we find when auditing suspended accounts. Most store owners never think to check it, so please guys, make sure it's compliant. Okay guys, before you touch that review button, there are a few final things to verify. First, make sure that your account has a product feed submitted with at least one product in it. Google requires this before the appeal button becomes available. If you deleted your product feed while suspended, you won't be able to request a review until you put it back. We've seen store owners delete their feed thinking it'll help, and then wonder why the appeal button has disappeared. Next, check whether you have a second Merchant Center account linked to the one you're trying to reinstate. If that second account is also suspended, you need to resolve the original account first. You can't address the second one until the first one is clean. And this is important. You can only have one Google Merchant Center account and one Google Ads account. Do not create a second Google Merchant Center account while the first one is suspended. Google treats that as an attempt to get around a policy violation, and that new account will be suspended immediately too. Okay, once all of this is clean, you're ready. All right, now we're at the most important part, requesting your review. And this is where most people get it wrong, even after you do all the work. You have two options and they're not equal. The first, an automatic review. You go into Merchant Center, click the Fix button in the red banner at the top and click I disagree with this issue. That's it. No human looks at it. You don't get to explain what you fixed, share any proof, or provide any context. Google's system just checks your account and makes a decision. If it rejects you, you're on a cooldown of at least 7 days before you can try again. And you've used one of your limited attempts. The second option is a manual escalation, and this is the one my team uses every time for the stores that come to us for help. Click the question mark icon in your Merchant Center account. Select Contact Us and reach Google support directly through chat. If chat isn't available, use email. This is our chance to actually speak to someone, so use it well. Tell them you've corrected all the misrepresentation issues in your account and be specific. List what you fixed. If you have proof of your legitimate business, share it. Official business documents, contracts, partnership agreements, anything that shows you're a real store operating correctly. Then, ask them to escalate your case to the wider team for a manual review. Here's exactly what to say. I'll put it on screen so you can pause and copy it, but I've also added a full template in the description below, so go and check that out. The other advantage of going this route, if a manual review gets rejected, there is no cooldown period, unlike the automated option. So you're not losing time on top of losing an attempt. So we do it this way every single time. Before I let you go, guys, I want to share a few final tips. They'll make sure that your account stays safe once you get it back. Get into the habit of auditing your site every single month. Go through the checklist, make sure that everything is still compliant, and fix anything that slipped. It's a lot easier to catch something small early on than it is to deal with a suspension. Watch out for apps and plugins, fake urgency timers, fake review apps, trust badges with nothing real behind them. They might look good on your store, but they're going to get you into a lot of trouble. Keep an eye on Google's policy updates too. When something changes, fix it quickly. Don't wait. Use Google Search Console to monitor your site's health regularly. And check the Needs Attention tab in your Google Merchant Center account often. Don't wait for a suspension to find out what's wrong. And don't try to outsmart Google, guys. Don't try to find workarounds. It catches up with you, and when it does, the result can be a permanent suspension with no way back. And last thing, guys, if you do everything right and still get rejected, don't give up. Misrepresentation suspensions often take multiple attempts to get fixed. Keep going through Google's policies, keep auditing your store, and keep finding and fixing things. Most suspensions are fixable. And guys, before you go, you can absolutely go through all of this yourself. And if you follow every step in this video and your store is genuinely clean, you have a real shot at getting it fixed. But the misrepresentation suspension is the hardest one to get fixed. And one wrong move can lock you out permanently. If you'd rather have an expert team doing this all for you, my team and I, we can help. We've been fixing suspensions since 2015 and fixed over 300 account suspensions. We know exactly what Google is looking for, and we can handle everything. The audit, the fixes, the appeal, and if we don't get your account back, it comes with a money-back guarantee. Now, if you want to get our help on this, guys, I recommend doing it before you do your review request. This is because we don't want you to burn your review requests before we can help. The earlier that we can get into your account and fix the issues, the better, so we can make use of the final review request that you have left. If you want to learn more about how we can do this, go and check the description. I'll leave a link down there. I've also left the full compliance checklist and a link to Google's policies, so go take a look there as well. And if this video was helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button. It helps other store owners find this video and get their suspension fixed as well. All right, guys, I hope you've got a huge amount of value out of this free Google Shopping course. If you want us to take care of this for you, book a call with my team. We've taken stores just like yours to 6 and 7 figures per month. Link is down below. And guys, please drop a comment down below. How was the course? Did it help? We read every single comment, and the more that you tell us, the more that we can make better content for you guys. And make sure that you're subscribed because we have a lot more coming. Advanced modules on Performance Max, email marketing, and more. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Make sure to check out our other videos. This one here might be especially useful for you.